victory on something before you can be really sure that it's going to be done.
But the White House says the reports that Iran reclosed the strait are false. They continue to call the ceasefire agreement a victory on the path to achieving all of President Trump's objectives. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt also denied that the Trump administration accepted Iran's 10-point plan, saying it wasn't accepted, it was merely the basis for negotiation.
They put forward a more reasonable and entirely different and condensed plan to the president and his team. President Trump and the team determined the new modified plan was a workable basis on which to negotiate and to align it with our own 15-point proposal. The president's red lines, namely the end of Iranian enrichment in Iran, have not changed. And the idea that President Trump would ever accept an Iranian wish list as a deal is completely absurd.
Leavitt says they are going to continue to monitor the Strait of Hormuz very closely, which is the expectation behind the ceasefire agreement. Negotiations are expected to take place in Pakistan on Friday to see if a more durable agreement can be reached. The war in Iran is extremely stressful for thousands of Utahns who have family members either deployed overseas or worrying about the possibility of deployment. KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff joins me live to explain. Don?
Maria, Christiana says one of the most stressful things when her husband was deployed was not knowing exactly where he was or how close he was to danger. She tells Inside Sources she was engaged when she and her fiancé learned he was going to be deployed.
David, being the person he is, he knew that, he had a more important place to be and that I would be home and I'll just wait for him. Oh, I didn't know I'm going to cry. I was like, he's fine. He was safe the whole time.
She says they rushed to get married before David left on a 3-month deployment to the Middle East with the Air Force. Reporting live, Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
When military veterans re-enter civilian life, professional licensing problems can come up, but a new law will change that. KSL News Radio's Isabella Sosa has more.
Utah Senator Heidi Baldry sponsored Senate Bill 90, which allows veterans to continue using their military skills after their service ends. On Inside Sources, Baldry shared a story about a veteran who, after 7 years of airfield service, could not get a job in the aerospace industry because he didn't have a specific certification that was not even offered in Utah. She says this law will make a big difference for veterans.
We're trying to cut red tape and open doors for our veterans to get to work sooner.
Veterans can apply to the Utah Division of Professional Licensing to get their appropriate licensure. Isabella Sosa, KSL News Radio.
We will continue our special coverage of the war in Iran, both on air and online. For the latest developments, make sure you sign up for push notifications on the KSL News Radio app. The person killed in a Springville car crash on Monday has been identified as president of Utah Krishna's Christopher Sharu Warden. Warden founded the Sri Sri Krishna Temple in Spanish Fork. His congregation posted on social media that he will be remembered for his humility, compassion, and deep devotion. The drivers of the other 3 cars were all injured, but none of those other injuries were life-threatening. West Jordan Fire says they have seen a 4% increase in calls every year for the past 15 years. They are keeping that in mind as they plan for the future. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis has more.
In 2010, the department had 4,300 calls. Last year, that number was nearly 8,000. West Jordan Fire Chief Derek Maxfield says they have actually had less calls about fire and more calling on medical emergencies. To address this, they have purchased several new cardiac monitors, giving another tool to paramedics.
They will be able to provide that higher level of care while the ambulance is transporting to the hospital.
Maxfield says the call increase is mainly due to the population rising and acting proactively. They've already bought land that will soon be the city's 5th fire station. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Lake Powell is getting closer to having its worst season on record with this year's low snowpack runoff. Water intake at the nation's 2nd largest reservoir are already expected to be the 3rd lowest on record as it currently stands, and National Weather Service forecasters say water levels may exceed a previous record low set in 2002. Meteorologist Hayden Mahan says that this is mainly due to the low snowpack this year.
80 to sometimes 90% of the water comes from snowmelt in most of these reservoirs. So ideally you want your snowpack to be accumulating all winter long, and then you want to slowly melt it off.
The low water levels are further complicating decisions between 7 western states on how to use water from the Colorado River, which feeds directly into Lake Powell. First Look Traffic. Good afternoon, Tito.
Good afternoon, Maria. Traffic looks to be in great shape as we begin the noon hour. No accidents or delays across the valley on I-15, 215, and I-80. Tito Nanny in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:06.
Most financial advisors only manage your money. They refer you out for taxes. They refer you out for estate planning. They refer you out when things get complicated. Did they really vet that person? Or did they meet once, exchange business cards, and call it a partnership? A referral isn't accountability. It's a handoff. When your investments, taxes, and estate plan are built separately, gaps happen, and those can cost money. At Trajan, we didn't build a referral network. We built a family office for all. Wealth, tax, estate. One team delivering coordinated planning, once reserved for the ultra-wealthy. If you want real coordination and not just introductions, call Trajan Wealth today. Call Trajan today at 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900. 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
We finally realized something.
We wanted more time for family, faith, and service.
And less time giving every Saturday to the house.
Amen to that.
At Ovation Homes, active adults 55 plus can enjoy beautifully designed, low-maintenance homes in a welcoming community built for this season of life.
More peace, less upkeep.
Learn more about Ovation Homes' newest communities in West Point, Syracuse, and Layton with an open house event April 11th featuring experts, food, and more. Visit ovationhomes.com.
We decided to downsize.
Less to manage.
Fewer stairs.
More friends.
Ovation Homes. Downsize the stairs, upsize the lifestyle. Your best years start at Ovation Homes. To learn more about your next home, find a community, or speak to an Ovation specialist, visit ovationhomesutah.com. That's ovationhomesutah.com. Your best years start at Ovation Homes.
Thank you for joining us for Midday. Recapping our top local story, the White House is denying reports that the Strait of Hormuz is closed again, saying it takes time for compliance to yesterday's ceasefire agreement. They continue to call the agreement a victory. KSL News Time 12:08. We are now learning how the state would spend $1 billion President Trump says he wants to set aside for the Great Salt Lake.
One of the projects the state's looking to do with that money is reversing the water flow in the giant pump system the state built back in the 1980s to prevent flooding when the lake reached record highs. Utah Department of Natural Resources Executive Director Joel Ferry told KSL there's still tens of thousands of acre-feet of water getting stuck in that system every year, and they want to get that water back in the lake. Ferry says that money could also be used for things like killing off more invasive Phragmites plants, as well as making water metering, landscaping, and agricultural water use more efficient, though we are still waiting to see whether Congress will actually give us the money to do all that. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
The Salt Lake City Council has unanimously voted against rezoning a plot of land across from Sugar House Park that would have allowed a 7-story hotel to be built there. CEO of Magnus Hotel Management, John Potter, expressed his disappointment to KSL after the vote.
I think our project would add great jobs, great economic benefit, great community amenities, great community benefits to the entire Sugar House neighborhood and the city in particular. And I think it's an unfortunate development.
One council member cited concerns from residents about how close the hotel would be to the park and the sheer scale of the project. Plus, they want to see the current businesses develop more before doing something as big as this project. A new facility is hoping to grow Salt Lake City's Olympic pride. USA Climbing filed a permit request for a 3-story facility right downtown. KSL News Radio's Louise Kelly has more.
CEO for USA Climbing Mark Norman says this facility could provide a home for our athletes, especially ahead of the LA 2028 Summer Games.
The national team and para-national team athletes train, I would say, at a disadvantage to our competitors who have dedicated facilities with which to train and perfect their craft and compete against us. So our hope is to get it open in time for them to train.
He says right now USA Climbing is still raising funds to bring the vision to life and is working with the city to get a permit secured. But he also says that if approved, it will bring some significant economic benefits to the area. Louise Kelly, KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. What's happening, Tito?
Still no issues across our major Wasatch Front freeways. Expect to be on your way with no delays. However, in Utah County, there are spots of slowing going in both directions on SR 73 and Pioneer Crossing. This Mother's Day, treat Mom to something unforgettable at the Roof with our brand new spring into summer brunch menu she'll love. Celebrate Mom in style above the heart of Salt Lake City. TheRoofSLC.com. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
Loving that weather out there today. 70 for a high, mostly sunny skies. Lovely. Overnight, partly cloudy and 50 degrees. Tomorrow, we're going to bounce back nicely. 75 Thursday afternoon, partly cloudy skies. Breezy on Friday out of the south, bumping temperatures to the upper 70s and mostly cloudy. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now it's mostly cloudy in downtown Salt Lake City. A bit of sunshine, 64 degrees. Coming up on Midday, new employment numbers are out showing that Utah added more than 10,000 jobs in 2025. We'll get details from state officials. That's coming up, streaming live at kslnewsradio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Hey, it's Brian with Olson's Greenhouse. In today's busy world, your home should be your sanctuary, a peaceful retreat where you can unwind, breathe deeply, and recharge. And what better way to create that haven than with flowers? A pop of color in your flower beds, a cheerful container garden by the front door, or a lush patio filled with vibrant blooms can transform any space into a personal oasis. Flowers don't just brighten up your home, they lift your spirits too. Research even shows that surrounding yourself with plants can reduce stress and boost happiness. At Olson's Greenhouse, we grow premium quality plants that make it easy to bring beauty and joy into your life. Whether you prefer bold, eye-catching colors or soft, soothing pastels, we have the perfect flowers to complement your space. And with locally grown plants, you know they're ready to thrive. This spring, create a sanctuary of color and comfort with flowers from Olson's Greenhouse. Find us on Instagram at Olson's Greenhouse Gardens or go to ogg.com to find a retailer near you. That's ogg.com for Olson's Greenhouse Gardens.
Doug Wright here with Monty at Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer. Monty, give it to me straight. Why is Connecticut the premium choice over those standard electric softeners?
Doug, it comes down to this. Do you want an appliance you have to babysit? Standard water softeners have microprocessors and computers that need setting and adjustment. And they use a lot more salt. So you get to haul 40-pound bags of salt down to your basement every month or so.
And Connecticut?
Zero electricity, zero timers to reset, zero downtime, and uses 70% less salt. It's a higher standard of engineering that completely removes the hassle of owning a water softener.
That's what I love about my Connecticut. Dee and I never have to even think about it. We occasionally add a bag of salt and it just works, and I've never had to set or adjust anything. Do what I did and get the one that just works. Find out how soft your water could be at softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
Every day here in Utah, people turn to KSL News Radio for one simple reason: trust. Trust for our reporters, hosts, our coverage, and trust in the businesses heard right here. I've met so many of our listeners over the years, and they'll tell you KSL is part of their daily routine, in the car, at work, at home. And when they hear your business here, it carries the weight of that trust. It isn't just another ad. It's a recommendation coming from a reliable source. When you advertise on KSL News Radio, you reach a loyal, highly engaged audience who listens intentionally. They show up for breaking news, accurate information, and meaningful conversations. And because of that connection, they respond. And when you pair our on-air credibility with digital tools like display advertising, social media, streaming audio, search, geo-targeting, and retargeting, you get a full funnel strategy that works and reaches the right people at the right time. Get marketing that truly moves the needle. Partner with the voice Utah trusts. KSL. Learn more at kslnewsradio.com/advertise.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
KSL News Time, 12:15. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
West Jordan Fire has seen a 4% increase in calls every year for the past 15 years. To address the rising need, they're hiring more firefighters and building a brand new fire station. I'm KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis.
Second, military families are on edge watching things going on with the war in Iran and worrying for their service members' safety. Third, traffic and weather together, Tito.
Still a great drive with no issues across I-15. Expect a clear drive between Provo and Ogden. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
Just a hair cooler than yesterday, but still in the 70s. I'm Matt Johnson.
64 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Following more than 5 weeks of war, the fragile ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran taking shape. President Trump extending the deadline he set from yesterday that called for the immediately reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, or the U.S. would strike Iran's infrastructure. The White House says Vice President J.D. Vance will be among the delegation traveling to Pakistan for talks this week on a permanent end to the war. Reports by Iranian state media claiming that the strait remains closed now due to Israel's continued strikes in Lebanon. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt addressing that issue.
We have seen an uptick of traffic in the Strait today, and I will reiterate the president's expectation and demand that the Strait of Hormuz is reopened immediately, quickly, and safely. That is his expectation. It has been relayed to him privately that is what's taking place, and these reports publicly are false.
Prices for crude have dipped below $100 again. It could take longer, though, for gas prices at the pump and jet fuel costs to come down, and more airlines are still raising fees.
Delta and Southwest are joining a growing list of carriers raising checked bag fees as those higher fuel prices ripple through the airline industry. On Delta, you'll now pay $45 for the first checked bag and $55 for the second one. If you need a third bag, that one's going to cost you $200. On Southwest, where bags used to fly free, they're also raising their prices by $10 for the first bag and $10 for the second, matching Delta's $45 and $55 fees. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
In New York today, Rex Heuermann, the Gilgo Beach defendant accused in multiple murders dating back decades, changed his plea of not guilty to guilty in court today in the killings of 8 female sex workers. His attorneys say they decided to cooperate with the FBI due to the amount of evidence, including DNA linked to Heuermann. Sentencing set for June. And the Artemis II crew preparing for its Friday return to Earth. You're listening to ABC News.
Time now for the KSL In-Depth. Utah's employment summary for January came out today, and it shows the state's economy added 10,500 jobs since January of 2025. Joining me now live to break it all down is Ben Crabb, Chief Economist for the Department of Workforce Services. Ben, thanks for being with me.
Yeah, pleased to be here.
So give us some of the highlights of your report.
The state continues to expand its job count. The jobs grew by about 0.6% over the year. Gains were led by the professional and business services, financial activities, and education and health services sector. We see job openings remaining relatively high, although hiring rates are at a relatively low level.
Right. What does this say about the economy?
Utah continues to outperform the nation. We're growing significantly faster than the nation, which expanded by about 0.2% with the January numbers. Our unemployment rate remains quite low, so those who are looking for work are still able to find a position, although employers are a little bit more hesitant to fill open positions at the current time.
And what does your analysis say about their hesitation? I mean, we know we have, of course, the war in Iran that we're concerned about, but what are some of the other things that they're concerned about?
Yeah, just the overall environment of uncertainty, policy uncertainty are leading employers to be a bit hesitant on filling open positions. You know, if the perfect candidate walks through their door, they're likely to add them to the head count, but otherwise they're not in a big hurry to hire.
If you look January to January, how does this jobs report compare to last January's?
The growth is a little bit slower this year. 0.6% is down from a bit higher last year, but we continue to see expansions across numerous sectors. The overall labor market has been growing a little bit more slowly on a slowing trend in the last year or so.
And does it look like this hesitation to hire more people is going to extend further into the year, or is there anything on the horizon that might make employers more optimistic?
Well, I think the environment of uncertainty is a major driver, reducing employers' willingness to hire. And so if we see a little bit more clarity on the policy front with respect to tariffs, with respect to this situation in the Middle East, which wouldn't affect these January numbers. But a reduction in uncertainty, I think, would result in a boost in our hiring rates.
Ben, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being with me.
Thank you.
Live on the KSL Newsline, that is Ben Crabb, Chief Economist for the Department of Workforce Services. Let's get you up to date on the drive, traffic, and weather. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Here's Tito Nani.
Our major freeways continue to be in great shape with no issues to report. I am seeing some spots of slowing up north on Highway 89 in Weber County as you travel in both directions between Harrisville and the I-84 junction. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast starts out with comfortable 70s, then turns to 50s with rain chances. I've got a 70 today, mostly sunny skies. Tomorrow it's going to be 75, partly cloudy. Moving into Friday, 77, south breeze and mostly cloudy, maybe a mountain shower. Saturday, mostly cloudy, 30% chance for rain, and 70 degrees, breezy. Keeping that wind in the forecast on Sunday, 61, chance for a cold front, rain showers. We go to 55 on Monday, chance for rain, and then mostly cloudy, 57 on Tuesday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Mostly cloudy in downtown Salt Lake City, 64 degrees. And the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Checking the markets. Markets still staying in really good territory this hour, with the Dow up by nearly 3%. NASDAQ is up by 3%. A complete update of your money news is coming up next.
We want to talk about soda, diet, and nutrition. SOTA stands for state of the art. And Andy and I both let go of massive amounts of weight. You more than me.
70 pounds in 5 months.
And I did 37 pounds in 3 months. And what worked for me was so many things. Talking to a nutritionist every week and having her tell me what to eat. I can do as I'm told.
Yeah.
But I have no clue where to begin.
And I needed the help too. It's just food. There's no pills, no injections. So you learn how to both let go of the weight and then how to keep it off.
So Soda Diet and Nutrition is a great place to start. But if you started with pills or medications and you find yourself starting to gain some weight back, Soda Diet and Nutrition is a great way to learn how to have a new relationship with food to go into the future.
You can talk with a nutritionist by calling 866-800-SOTA, S-O-T-A, or you can go to their website, sotadietandnutrition.com.
Join now and your partner joins for free. 2 people, real accountability for the price of 1.
Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto-pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Take the first step. Visit CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com.
Attention Jazz Nation. The long wait is finally over. Mountain basketball is back and better than ever. Let's go! All tickets are on sale now, and you won't want to miss the action. Jump on the opportunity to watch your favorite players live and in person. Whether you're after season tickets, mini plans, or single game matchups, the Utah Jazz has got your back. There's a plan for every fan. Don't miss out. Secure your seats today and be part of the excitement all season long. Let's go! Visit UtahJazz.com today.
KSL News Time 1225. More airlines are raising more fees to make up for the cost of jet fuel.
Delta and Southwest are joining a growing list of carriers raising checked bag fees as those higher fuel prices ripple through the airline industry. On Delta, you'll now pay $45 for the first checked bag and $55 for the second one. If you need a third bag, that one's going to cost you $200. On Southwest, where bags used to fly free, they're also raising their prices by $10 for the first bag and $10 for the second, matching Delta's $45 and $55 fees. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Watching Utah's money, Ford Motor Company is requesting help from the Trump administration after they say aluminum tariffs are causing major supply bottlenecks for their F-150s. The impact is compounded by two fires at a Ford factory in New York where their aluminum is processed. AI is taking a major toll on the video game community because of the huge spike in the prices of RAM being bought by data centers. Besides the major price increase on PC gamers building their machines, companies like Nintendo have lost around $14 billion as investors become skittish about rising RAM costs. Meta has unveiled a new artificial intelligence model called MuseSpark. It will roll out on Facebook and Instagram in the coming weeks, and the markets are excited. Meta stock was up 9% on the news. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow currently up by 1,300 points, nearly 3%, sitting at 47,897. S&P up by 170 points. The Nasdaq up more than 3%, up by 669 points. Sharks sniffing for blood in the water in the Bahamas are finding something else altogether. ABC's Jim Ryan says drugs are making their way into the water.
Researchers writing in the journal Environmental Pollution say they've discovered prescription and non-prescription stimulants and painkillers, including caffeine and cocaine, in the bodies of sharks around Eleuthera Island, east of Nassau. The working theory is that tourists visiting the island consumed the drugs, that the substances ended up in the wastewater and eventually in the bodies of sharks in the Bahamas.
The research team says more data is necessary to see how cocaine and these other substances affect sharks and other wildlife. And just looking at the numbers that have just updated on Wall Street, the Dow up by about 2.5% right now, up 1,200 points. S&P 500 up by about 2.5%, and the Nasdaq up by 2.75%.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877-CARS-4-KIDS to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877-CARS-4-KIDS to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the nines. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU. Love where you bank. What's happening, Tito?
An easy ride on all the valley's major roadways. However, watch for spots of slowing due to construction if you're driving on SR 36 in Tooele, as well as Pioneer Crossing in Utah County. When you need the financial products and services for every stage of life, Cypress Credit Union is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypresscu.com today. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hey, calling for mostly sunny skies today, high of 70 degrees, an occasional breeze out of the north. 50 overnight, partly cloudy. We keep it partly cloudy tomorrow with a high of 75. South breezes kick up on Friday, mostly cloudy, and 77. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And checking some of the temperatures around the area here in downtown Salt Lake City, just a bit of sunshine and 66 degrees. It's 68 in Provo, 77 degrees down in St. George. And looking at Park City, very cool, 56 degrees.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos
on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon. KSL News Time, 1230. KSL's top story this hour. The war in Iran. There are conflicting reports over whether the Strait of Hormuz has been closed again. It was reportedly reopened because of yesterday's ceasefire agreement, but because Israel continues to attack Hezbollah targets in Lebanon, the strait was closed down again to boat traffic. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt commented on that at today's White House briefing.
The president was made aware of those reports before I came to the podium. That is completely unacceptable. And again, this is a case of what they're saying publicly is different privately. We have seen an uptick of traffic in the Strait today, and I will reiterate the president's expectation and demand that the Strait of Hormuz is reopened immediately, quickly and safely. That is his expectation. It has been relayed to him privately that is what's taking place, and these reports publicly are false.
Meanwhile, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says the Senate will vote next week on the War Powers Resolution.
Congress must reassert its authority, especially at this dangerous moment. No president, Democrat or Republican, should take this country to war alone.
The White House continues to maintain that the ceasefire agreement is a victory for the U.S. Police in South Ogden have arrested a woman on suspicion of murdering her boyfriend with a bottle. KSL News Radio's Cameron Elliott has the story.
Police say 51-year-old Terry Morgan told investigators she was arguing with her boyfriend over his alcoholism when she hit him over the head with a bottle. According to official documents, Morgan initially placed the call to the 911 dispatcher yesterday and said he'd fallen over and hit his head. After searching her phone, police say they found a text thread where she claimed she hit him in the head with a bottle, accompanied by the photo of the victim sitting on the couch with a bloody towel on his chest. Police say Morgan eventually told police she had pushed a bottle into his face and he had begun bleeding. She said she tried to treat the wound, went to take a nap, and when she came back, he was dead. Morgan has been booked into jail on one count of murder. Cameron Elliott, KSL News Radio.
A Provo man accused of shooting at another car while he was on parole earlier this year appeared before a judge again today. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has more.
30-year-old Hamilton Tabanico appeared remotely from the Utah State Prison this morning as he faces new charges in connection to the incident on New Year's Day in Provo. Court documents say two drivers started yelling at each other before one disengaged and pulled over, but Tabanico's accused of coming back to that car and shooting at it as it drove away. Today, Judge Tony Graff signed off on a protective order prohibiting Tabanico from having any contact with the victims.
You're not to have any contact with not phone, text, email, in person, or social media, nor having a third party reach out on their behalf, on your behalf to them. Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand. Tabanico's been in and out of prison since 2017 after he was previously convicted of robbery and aggravated assault a few years earlier. He's scheduled to be back in court in 2 weeks. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
2 teen girls from California have been hospitalized with severe burns after a UTV crash in southern Utah. One is in critical condition. Brooklyn Mallet was on vacation with her family and headed back to their campsite when one vehicle overturned, spilling fuel that caught fire. Orange County Captain Chris Ham says the girl has burns on about 40% of her body.
The family is working through the grieving process currently. They're probably going to be spending the foreseeable future out of the state in Nevada, taking care of their daughter, making sure she has everything she needs.
Brooklyn's father is a veteran firefighter with Orange County, and now hundreds of firefighters hoping for a good outcome. She was flown to Las Vegas Hospital, where she could be for the next month. KSL's top national stories. A man has now pleaded guilty for the murders of 8 women on New York's Long Island. ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer says it's unclear why Rex Heuermann may have changed his plea.
He still has an ex-wife. He still has a daughter. We know maybe a sliver or a tiny fraction of the evidence that was against him. If he was to go to trial, his entire family would see this all, and that might be a thing that he wants to spare them of, understanding that he's going to go to jail or prison, for the rest of his life.
Heuermann, who prosecutors say killed the women over a 17-year period near Gilgo Beach, will be formally sentenced in June. The woman who pled guilty to giving actor Matthew Perry the ketamine that led to his death will be sentenced today, and the so-called ketamine queen is also getting sentenced for the death of another person.
Sanga at this point faces a maximum sentence of 65 years in prison, but her defense is asking for time served. Of course, we have heard from relatives of Matthew Perry who insist that there needs to be something done about this, right? Accountability needs to be made because it was in Matthew's death, in that other gentleman's death, and they want to basically show for it. So that is something that, of course, the family and prosecutors have been asking for.
ABC's Melissa Adon reporting. Experts say a super El Nino is setting up off the coast of Peru, and that could be good news for Utah.
Usually El Nino for us means warmer than normal. It's more of a stronger indicator for southern Utah to pick up on a little bit more precip, not necessarily a strong signal for northern Utah.
KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson says 3 of the past 4 super El Ninos brought wetter conditions for Utah, but there aren't any true correlations. Other impacts of a super El Nino could be increased hurricane and typhoon risk in the Pacific Ocean and above average summer temperatures and humidity in the western United States. First look traffic. Tito Nani, any problem spots?
The quiet drive continues as we cross the halfway point of the noon hour. Not seeing any issues across the Wasatch Front, but feel free to text in if you see something. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:35.
Step back in time and commemorate the legacy of the world's most famous ship. Join Titanic, the exhibition, for an exclusive anniversary high tea on Monday, April 13th at 6 p.m. Savor elegant treats and immersive stories while surrounded by history. Located at the Shops at Southtown in Sandy. Don't miss out. The exhibition leaves Utah for good on April 19th. Reserve your high tea and tickets now at titanicexhibition.com.
The Children's Center Utah provides a unique service in our communities by meeting the needs of very young children and their caregivers. Here's another Little Minds Big Hope message from Dr. Jennifer Mitchell, the Children's Center Vice President of Clinical Strategy and Innovation.
Did you know early mental health support can change the course of a child's life? The earlier children get help, the better their long-term outcomes can be. Find out more at childrencenterutah.org.
Wait, everything on this IHOP value menu is just $6?
I told you it was amazing. A huge plate of pancakes, bacon, and eggs is just $6.
Wow.
There's also French toast, a ham and cheese omelet, and oh, they got a BLT and fries now.
Okay, we're coming here every day.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Feast for just $6 with the IHOP value menu. $7 in some locations, available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Thank you for joining us for Midday. Recapping our top story, Iran has reportedly reclosed the Strait of Hormuz as experts question the fragility of a ceasefire agreement. Still, the White House is calling the agreement a victory for the U.S. KSL News Time, 12:38. An educational summit today will prep teachers and policymakers for Utah's new credential program for students. KSL News Radio's McKenna Rodriguez reports.
A new statewide education bill focuses on guiding high school students to the classes that match their talents and career interests. The Utah Board of Education is handing the reins to an organization called U Science, which gives students aptitude assessments that reveal their natural strengths and then points them to the classes best suited to their possible careers.
Every single student has genius. We just got to find out where that genius is best suited.
That was CEO Edson Barton. He says students can get certified in mechanical engineering, computer science, carpentry, and more. Today's summit will show teachers how they can best teach students real-world verified skills. McKenna Rodriguez, KSL News Radio.
BYU has buried a time capsule that is set to be opened 50 years from now. Last fall, they opened a capsule from 1975, and committee members say the university is going to just keep getting better.
We don't do it by copying what other universities do. We do it by embracing our distinctive mission, which we think does lead to incredible education outcomes.
Inside this newest capsule is a roll of commemorative pennies, a smartphone, athletic memorabilia, and several other items. Utah's Olympic Committee says they will be launching a program that will teach Olympic values and encourage athletes in Utah schools this fall. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis has more.
The program will be in at least 6 school districts this fall and is still in the process of being developed, but the locations are expected to be finalized by the end of the month. Organization Committee CEO Brad Wilson says their ultimate goal is to get the program taught not just in Utah, but through the country. However, that likely won't happen until after the 2028 Los Angeles Games.
Other plans for the games this year include continued fundraising and a possible volunteer sign-up sheet. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. What's happening, Tito?
We have a new accident on eastbound I-80 in Tooele County. This is just before the Mid-Valley Highway exit. However, it's off to the right shoulder and out of traffic. Spots of slowing do remain in place due to construction. This is going in both directions on SR 73 and Pioneer Crossing down in Utah County. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
Spectacular spring weather today. High of 70 degrees. That's a little bit down from yesterday, but mostly sunny. 50 overnight. We'll go to 75 tomorrow, partly cloudy. Up to 77 on Friday with a south breeze, giving way to a slight chance for showers on Saturday afternoon. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Mostly cloudy in downtown Salt Lake City and 66 degrees. Coming up on Midday, the White House is addressing all concerns surrounding the ceasefire agreement with Iran. We'll hear more on what they had to say last hour. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Who is Farm Bureau Financial Services? At our core, we're relationship builders. We're home and auto bundlers, life insurers, farm and ranch protectors, and retirement planners. We're neighbors, community members, and friends. We're the people you can count on now and for years to come. Find a Farm Bureau agent at fbfs.com/protect. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company, Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company.
I'm Congressman Mike Kennedy. For years, Utah families have paid too much for health care, groceries, and everyday essentials. I'm fighting for health care reform that puts patients first and lowers costs. I'm also working to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington because your tax dollars should be spent wisely. Fiscal responsibility means lower costs and a government that works for you. I'm Mike Kennedy, and I'll keep fighting for Utah families. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
If you don't care about saving 50% off your wireless bill for the same 5G coverage the big guys are charging a fortune for, maybe you care about keeping jobs in America. Pure Talk does. They've pledged to run their entire operation from this country, including all their customer service. Or maybe you care about our nation's veterans. Pure Talk does. They've donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to America's Warrior Partnership, a fantastic organization working hard to prevent veteran suicide. Or maybe you care about closing America's skills gap. Pure Talk does. They're a proud supporter of MicroWorks. They're helping my foundation train the next generation of skilled workers. Don't get me wrong. Saving money's great, and you'll save plenty with Pure Talk. But if you want to be in business with people who share your values, dial pound 250. Say micro, and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
KSL News Time 1245. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
a Provo man accused of shooting at another car during a road rage incident while he was on parole made another appearance in court today. I'm KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
Second, a South Ogden woman has been arrested after police say she hit her boyfriend over the head with a bottle, killing him. She then reportedly took a nap instead of calling police. Third, traffic and weather together, Tito.
Our only accident this afternoon is on eastbound I-80 in Tooele. It's right before the Mid-Valley Highway exit, but it is off to the right shoulder and not affecting traffic. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
Holding on to perfect 70-degree days through the end of the work week. And we've got some changes over the weekend. I'm Matt Johnson.
66 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The Strait of Hormuz remains at the center of a fragile ceasefire deal between the U.S. and Iran. Iranian state TV reported that Iran closed off ship traffic today after Israel continued strikes in Lebanon. The White House also pushing back on earlier comments by President Trump threatening to wipe out Iran's civilization.
Caroline Leavitt repeatedly defending the president's rhetoric, the threat of the death of a civilization, by saying it was a very, very strong threat that led to results. The press secretary said the Iranian regime, in her words, recognized reality and yesterday put forward a plan that was more reasonable than previous offers. And now the ceasefire that's been announced yesterday sets the table for talks on Saturday in Islamabad, Pakistan.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy. In Hawaii, the jury will resume deliberations in the trial of the Maui doctor accused of attempting to kill his wife while on a hiking trail. And the crew of Artemis II on its way back to Earth, preparing for Friday's splashdown. This is ABC News.
Time now for the KSL In-Depth. Both U.S. and Iranian leaders are calling yesterday's ceasefire agreement a victory for their country. But some have their doubts about what deals have been made and whether the ceasefire will hold. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt spoke about it last hour.
The president's maximum pressure and the leverage created by the success of Operation Epic Fury led to the Iranian regime asking for and ultimately agreeing to a ceasefire proposal with the United States. Iran could no longer tolerate being bombed or taking the gamble of what was to come following President Trump's 8 p.m. deadline last night. Iran has agreed to open the Strait of Hormuz, and as the president said, we have received a proposal from the Iranians that has been determined to be a workable basis on which to negotiate. I've seen a lot of inaccurate coverage today from the media about these negotiations and these plans already. So let me be clear and correct the record. The Iranians originally put forward a 10-point plan that was fundamentally unserious, unacceptable, and completely discarded. It was literally thrown in the garbage by President Trump and his negotiating team. Many outlets in this room have falsely reported on that plan as being acceptable to the United States, and that is false. With the president's deadline fast approaching and the United States military completely decimating Iran with each passing hour, the regime acknowledged reality to the negotiating team. They put forward a more reasonable and entirely different and condensed plan to the president and his team. President Trump and the team determined the new modified plan was a workable basis on which to negotiate and to align it with our own 15-point proposal. The president's red lines, namely the end of Iranian enrichment in Iran, have not changed. And the idea that President Trump would ever accept an Iranian wish list as a deal is completely absurd. The president will only make a deal that serves in the best interests of the United States of America, and he as a negotiating team will focus on this effort over the next 2 weeks, so long as the Strait of Hormuz remains open with no limitations or delays.
But now Iranian officials say that Israel continuing to attack Hezbollah targets in Lebanon violates the ceasefire agreement, even though Israel says they didn't agree to that. In response, Iran has reclosed the Strait of Hormuz, an outcome the White House calls unacceptable.
The president was made aware of those reports before I came to the podium. That is completely unacceptable. And again, this is a case of what they're saying publicly is different privately. We have seen an uptick of traffic in the Strait today, and I will reiterate the president's expectation and demand that the Strait of Hormuz is reopened immediately, quickly, and safely. That is his expectation. It has been relayed to him privately that is what's taking place, and these reports publicly are false.
Peace talks are expected to take place in Pakistan this weekend, and all of these concerns are expected to be addressed. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Here's Tito Nani.
In Wasatch County, we have a crash on westbound Highway 40. It's just before River Road. It's off to the right shoulder and out of traffic. We're also seeing a crash on I-80 in Tooele County. It's a few miles prior to Lake Point, but it's also off to the right shoulder and out of traffic. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. I've got superb weather dialed up for today. 70 the high, mostly sunny skies. Lovely. 75 tomorrow, partly cloudy. We go to 77 with a south breeze on Friday. We'll bring in some clouds and maybe a mountain shower. Saturday, mostly cloudy, 30% chance for a scattered shower, 70 and breezy. 61 on Sunday, chance for showers, breezy. Moving into Monday, we've got a better rain chance and a high of 55. 57 and mostly cloudy by next Tuesday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Mostly cloudy, a bit of sunshine in downtown Salt Lake City. Right now, 66 degrees. And the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Quick check of the markets at this hour. Still in great shape, positive territory. The Dow up by more than 1,100 points. A complete update of your money news is coming up next.
It was opening night at Hale Center Theater for The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Victor Hugo's classic tale. I was with my son, Ian, and it was nothing short of spectacular. The staging, the costuming, the music, it's simply breathtaking. And, of course, the actors and the voices. You have to see The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's on the main stage right now at Hale Center Theater. So many of the scenes are never to be forgotten. For example, when Frollo is just struggling with his passion for Esmeralda and his soul, the flames and the tension on the stage is unbelievable. And to see the Hunchback up in the tower with the bells, don't miss Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's underway right now at Hale Center Theater. And continuing, Peter Pan Goes Wrong. That's on the Jewel Box stage and Hallmarked on the Beehive stage. Get your tickets now. hct.org. Don't miss the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Greater Zion, no greater feeling. At Southern Utah's Copper Rock Golf Course, we embrace that feeling. Here, every swing is surrounded by breathtaking landscapes and world-class amenities, providing that perfect pairing of golf and unforgettable outdoor experiences. Come for the golf, stay for the adventure. Copper Rock, born to be played.
Since 1947, Whipple Service Champions has been Utah's most trusted name for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services. Got a high-priced repair bill from another company and you're just not sure about it? Call Whipple. Get a free, no-pressure estimate or bring us their quote for an honest second opinion. Totally free. Whipple Service Champions, Utah's first place for second opinions since 1947. Call 385-273-7167 for your free estimate today. 385-273-7167.
Do you know what you don't know about your truck bed? Well, at Jordan Camper, 7000 South State in Midvale, we can show you amazing options, functions, and truck bed uses you probably had no idea about. Let's start with drop-in or spray-in protective bed liners, providing an easy, cleanable space adapting to work requirements or for outdoor fun. Cover your truck bed with tonneau covers, stylish one-piece or soft vinyl, roll-up, hard folding, and retractable models. Jordan Camper features so many choices of fiberglass and aluminum durable truck tops for outdoor recreation storage, providing great workspace and security for those who rely on trucks for their professional needs. Jordan Camper is Utah's longest operated truck top and accessory shop. Our experienced, skilled technicians can install everything for you. Come into 7000 South State in Midvale and check us out. JordanCamper.com.
Are you looking to find more fairways, hit more greens, and lower your scores? Then it's time for a custom fitting from a Shields certified master fitter. Learning from the world's top fitters at Titleist Performance Institute, Callaway Performance Center, and the Ping Proving Grounds, we have the tools and expertise to match the right clubs to your swing for a more consistent game. Elevate your play today. Visit shields.com/expert fitting to schedule your session.
KSL News Time 12:54. Having rounded the moon and logged an all-time distance record, NASA's Orion spacecraft and its crew of 4 are returning to their home planet. ABC's Jim Ryan has the Artemis II update.
Integrity, guidance converged, performance.
It was complex mathematical calculations that got Orion to the moon. But at this stage,
Sir Isaac Newton is in charge of the mission now.
Specifically says retired NASA astronaut Terry Virts, the theory that what goes up must come down.
The main thing causing this Orion capsule to fly right now is not rockets, it's gravity.
Orion and its crew of 4 are essentially falling back to Earth. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Watching Utah's money, crude oil prices are down today as hope surges that oil may be able to soon pass through the Strait of Hormuz. However, prices at the pump haven't caught up yet. The cost of a gallon of gas is about 2 cents higher from yesterday. Here in Utah, you'll pay $4.26 a gallon. Big tech stocks are rallying after the president's announcement of a ceasefire yesterday. NVIDIA, Amazon, Alphabet, all up today. Chip makers and memory stocks are also seeing a comeback. It's a bright spot for the technology sector after a rough few weeks. The USDA has retracted a health alert concerning potential lead inside Walmart's dino-shaped chicken nuggets. The initial report came from New York State's Department of Public Health, which says they found trace amounts in a bag of frozen Jurassic poultry, but the USDA has since deemed that the product is safe. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is up by nearly 1,200 points, about 2.5%, sitting at 47,745. S&P 500 up by 145 points. The NASDAQ up by 2.5%. It is up by 551 points. It was a record-breaking March for the climate. ABC's Mike Dubusky has more.
A new report from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration finds this past March was the hottest on record. 130 million Americans experienced their hottest March day ever, and it capped a record-breaking 12-month stretch for the continental U.S., where drought expanded by 60%. Extreme heat events are becoming more frequent and more intense because of human-caused climate change, according to the government's 5th National Climate Assessment. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Now streaming on Angel, The Parables of Jesus, the Good Samaritan, is a powerful cinematic retelling of Christ's parable set in a fractured first-century world simmering with turmoil, suspicion, and quiet hostility. Told through intimate performances and moments charged with moral tension, The Good Samaritan draws viewers into the weight of each choice and the cost of Christ-like love. It leaves us with the Savior's enduring question that confronts every generation: who is my neighbor? Experience The Good Samaritan today with your family. Now streaming on Angel.com.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the nines, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU, love where you bank. What's going on, Tito?
Our major valley freeways are all in great shape as we approach the 1 o'clock hour. Our only accident remains the one on I-80 in Tooele. It's just before the Lake Point exit. However, it's off to the shoulder and out of traffic. Whether you park it, stripe it, or pave it, GoPave Utah has your blacktop covered at GoPaveUtah.com. That's GoPaveUtah.com. Call or visit GoPaveUtah.com. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
And taking a look at the forecast for the Wasatch Front, a high today of 70 degrees, staying in the 70s all the way through Saturday, even though on Saturday we do have about a 30% chance of showers. On Sunday, we're looking at a 40% chance with the high dropping down to 61 degrees. 68 degrees downtown.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The ceasefire agreement between Iran, Israel, and the U.S. on a bit of shaking ground at this hour. Additional missile strikes overnight and continued strikes from Israel on Lebanon, prompting Iran to close the Strait of Hormuz once again. The White House refuting what Iranian state media says today.
The president's expectation and demand that the Strait of Hormuz is reopened immediately, quickly, and safely. That is his expectation. It has been relayed to him privately that is what's taking place, and these reports publicly are false.
The time is 1 o'clock on Wednesday, April 8th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, the war in Iran. We'll get the latest developments and analysis, plus a closer look at how quickly gas prices could drop following the strait's reopening. Plus, supporting military families.
It's really nerve-wracking, and I think I choose to almost kind of like look the other way because I don't want to have David disappear again.
Coming up at 1:30, we're going to spend a special half hour discussing ways that we can all support the families of brave men and women who serve. But first, we do have breaking news. Iran is now accusing the U.S. of violating the ceasefire deal. Iran's parliament says the violations are Israel's continued attacks on Lebanon, a drone flying into Iranian airspace, and the denial of the Islamic Republic's right to enrich uranium. We'll continue to follow the latest on this story, and we will be speaking to experts live in just a moment. Our top story is national news. The White House praised the 2-week ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran. ABC's Karen Travers has more on that agreement.
There are a lot of questions about what this agreement actually means. Vice President Vance this morning repeatedly was calling it a fragile truce. And the president spoke to our John Carl this morning and says at this point he expects that the talks will start taking place on Friday and move very quickly. But notably, U.S. forces are going to stay in the region because he says they need to be there to enforce this agreement.
And as you've heard, it's still somewhat unclear whether or not the Strait of Hormuz has actually been opened and where the agreement stands. We'll continue to bring you the latest. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is currently up by more than 1,100 points, sitting at 47,712. S&P up by 141. That's more than 2%. The NASDAQ up by 532 points. Traffic and weather together is brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Tito?
Our major highways remain in good shape. Great speeds across I-15 all the way from Santaquin up to Ogden. We do have a crash. It's on westbound Timpanogos Highway in Utah County. It's currently not affecting traffic. No lanes are blocked. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
High temperatures in the 70s through Saturday of this week. It looks like we do have a slight chance of showers returning tomorrow, then increasing to a greater chance over the weekend. 30% chance on Saturday, 40% chance on Sunday. 68 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Right now, water heaters are on sale at Any Hour Services. Schedule a free estimate today to see how much you'll save. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
An emergency can happen any second. Here's a few seconds to think about where you'd go. When you need medical care fast, the closest emergency room is a smart thing to know. Common Spirit Health ERs are your direct path between feeling scared or uncomfortable and feeling better. Find emergency care in your neighborhood at mountain.commonspirit.org.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. You know, the big wireless companies say they have discounts for people over 55. But unless you're willing to sit on hold and ask, you're probably paying more than you should. At Consumer Cellular, there's nothing to hunt down. We're built for people 50 plus with plans starting at just $20. And our 100% US-based customer service actually answers the phone. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today and get your second month free for a limited time.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
This is the story of the one.
As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's spring. You get outside and it's obvious your house needs painting. Make an appointment with CertaPro Painters. They'll give you a free estimate quickly and at the right price. And they make the entire process easy with reliable updates and communication. They know how important your home is to you. True professionals, they're committed to quality and exceptional service at the right price. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated, so schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C.
All in together now, we can make it better, can we do it? We'll rope it up, cause we know how to jump.
Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos.
War in Iran.
A bit of confusion and worry today over the 2-week ceasefire between the U.S., Israel, and Iran. Just a short time ago, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt praised the agreement and President Trump's negotiating tactics. She also said that Iran's statements that they have closed the Strait of Hormuz are not true.
With respect to the first reporting out of Iranian state media, the president was made aware of those reports before I came to the podium. That is completely unacceptable. And again, this is a case of what they're saying publicly is different privately. We have seen an uptick of traffic in the Strait today, and I will reiterate the president's expectation and demand that the Strait of Hormuz is reopened immediately, quickly, and safely. That is his expectation. It has been relayed to him privately that is what's taking place, and these reports publicly are false.
Let's get more on this with News Nation senior congressional correspondent Joe Khalil. Joe, thanks for being with me.
Of course, happy to be with you.
So the White House press secretary speaking in the 11 o'clock hour. So what do we now know about the Strait of Hormuz? Who is in control? Is it open?
You know, it's not exactly clear. I mean, she refuted state media reports coming from Iran. She says that what comes out of the mouth publicly of the regime is different from what they are hearing back channeled to the White House. So she says it has been opened today. What we do know for certain is that the Iranian foreign minister did make a post this morning that said as part of the ceasefire, the strait will be reopened, but that it will be reopened basically at the behest of the Iranian military, facilitating which ships go in and out, which, you know, in itself is not the most ideal situation. She says that it has been open, that they've seen more traffic coming in. I think it's just going to be one of those things where this is less than 24 hours into this ceasefire agreement. If it holds, and if we actually see both sides continue to remain peaceful, maybe we get more clarity on what the strait is going to look like and who operates it. President Trump himself floated the idea of the U.S. and Iran in a joint venture collecting tolls at the strait. I'm not sure how realistic that is, but, you know, it's something the president at least floated. So we'll see, I guess, in the next day or two.
What do we know about Iran's latest demands and what the White House is saying?
So the White House has framed this, as has the Pentagon. I was at the Pentagon briefing earlier today, as a major victory for the U.S. military. Certainly there are measurable successes that the military has pulled off here, significant reduction in the ability of Iran to develop missiles, develop nuclear weapons. There have been several manufacturing centers and hubs that the U.S. has destroyed. Having said that, the terms of this agreement from Iran is essentially that the U.S. and Israel stop launching their strikes inside of Iran. A major demand of the United States is that Iran abandon its nuclear ambitions. We've been here before. These were essentially the key components of the Iran deal back in the Obama administration as well, with a couple of obviously different caveats here. So, again, it seems like as we move forward, we're going to sort of see whether both sides are sticking to doing that. You could argue Iran has already violated part of the agreement because overnight they were launching strikes at the U.S.'s allies in the Middle East. The UAE, Kuwait, Qatar all say that overnight they intercepted Iranian missiles, which would be a serious violation of this ceasefire agreement. Whether they get a grace period, how the U.S. is going to be handling that, we're not sure. This is, as Caroline Levitt put it, a very fragile ceasefire deal right now. And I think, again, we'll know a lot more about how durable it is over the next 24 hours or so.
Plus, she is saying that there will be negotiations this weekend, correct?
Yeah, that's right. And actually the first time that we're going to have in-person, face-to-face negotiations, J.D. Vance, the vice president, will be there alongside Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, the two envoys, President Trump's son-in-law, but they've been the key negotiators. They are meeting in Islamabad, Pakistan, with the Iranian side, a delegation of Iranians. And, for the time being, up until now, everything else has been back channel. So we've had Pakistan, you've had Egypt, you've had Turkey, other mediators sort of taking messages back and forth between the Iranians and the United States. So it is a big deal. It's an advancement that for the first time since this war began, on Saturday coming up now, there is going to be a room where they will all be together in person rather than doing the back channel. It's a signal of some hope. If you're hoping for peace, let's hope we continue this course between now and then.
Right. Joe, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being with me.
Of course. Happy to do it.
Joe Khalil's News Nation's senior congressional correspondent. As the situation continues to develop, let's bring in Ryan Vogel. He is the founding director of the Center for National Security Studies at Utah Valley University. Ryan, thanks for being with me.
Happy to be here.
So talk to us a little bit about what's happening right now between Iran and Israel and whether that might lead to the ceasefire agreement pretty much breaking down.
Yeah, well, as we just heard, there are infractions on this really fragile agreement in place. You had Israel attacking Lebanon. Israel was part of that agreement. You had potentially intercepted missiles from Iran to neighboring countries in the Gulf region. And then at least a temporary close of the Strait of Hormuz, which was one of the central points for the U.S. in the ceasefire agreement. So some pretty fundamental breaks in the agreement in the first 12 hours that are cause for some alarm.
Explain for us why Israel continues to bomb Lebanon.
Yeah, it's they're going after Hezbollah. Usually when they strike urban areas, or at least, this has been part of their pattern, is they give some advance warning. They did not do that this time, and so there are pretty massive civilian casualties. And Lebanon was, at least for Iran's part of the agreement, since Hezbollah is an ally of Iran and the IRGC. So, Israel kind of taking the fight to Lebanon and expanding that, or continuing that part of the conflict, has been, seen as a real break in that early part of the agreement.
From what you've seen, is there any attempt by the U.S. to convince Israel to stop?
Yeah, this is what we've been asking for months now, is, whether it's in Gaza, whether it's with Iran, whether it's in Lebanon, whether the U.S. has the ability to really meaningfully restrain Israel. It does not appear so. I'm sure there are conversations happening. I'm sure there's been conversations happening over the past few months and even years. But Israel seems determined to use this opportunity to lastingly defeat its core enemies, which is Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran. And you see a very aggressive posture by them.
This has been such a difficult situation to report on because we are hearing such different points of view from both the president and the White House and from Iran. What are people here in the U.S., what are we expected to take from this?
It's really difficult. You're absolutely right that you're hearing just mixed messaging. Even within our administration, you hear different messages on this, and you have throughout the course of the Iran conflict. I think it's patience. I think people have to wait and not rush to judgment when they hear things, or not panic when they hear things, because there are so many different things happening at the same time, and so many different intermediaries that are putting forward that information, that I think for the average American that's just trying to watch and see what's happening here, patience and not rushing to prejudgment is probably going to be critical.
We heard a word yesterday, that bit of hope that there, was this ceasefire in effect. In your mind, is that still in effect?
I think so. I think there's been, some discussion among all parties that they're trying to get back to that place anyway. You haven't seen a complete return to hostilities. Of course, that could happen in the next few hours here, but you have not seen that yet. So I do think that all three parties, Israel, Iran, and the United States, have an interest in trying to make this work. And it appears, even with the talks that are happening tomorrow in Pakistan, that the parties intend to pursue this ceasefire as much as they can.
How does the talk in Congress about voting on a War Powers Act, how does that complicate this issue?
Yeah, it's a necessary part of this equation. Unfortunately, it should have probably happened, weeks ago. And so happening at this point is complicated. The issue here in the force function is that if a conflict goes beyond 60 days, it requires congressional authorization. The president has power under the War Powers Act and under Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution to defend the United States, to use force in the defense of the United States up until that point. But anything that goes beyond that 60-day mark is going to require congressional authorization. And so as we near that mark, we're going to have that. Of course, that does signal to outside parties that, there's internal division, internal deliberation, and that might affect how things play out here as well.
Ryan, appreciate your time. Thanks for being with me.
Of course.
Ryan Vogel is Associate Professor and Founding Director of the Center for National Security Studies at Utah Valley University. Stay with us. Our special coverage continues in just a few minutes.
Wait, everything on this IHOP value menu is just $6?
I told you it was amazing. A huge plate of pancakes, bacon, and eggs is just $6.
Wow.
There's also French toast, a ham and cheese omelet, and they got a BLT and fries now.
Okay, we're coming here every day.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Feast for just $6 with the IHOP value menu. $7 in some locations, available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
As a ceasefire agreement appears to have been reached between the U.S. and Iran, all eyes narrow in on the Strait of Hormuz. When will it reopen, and what will happen when it does? There's been some back and forth today over whether it's already reopened. Iran says they've closed it again, but the Trump administration says that that's not true and that it is open right now. So with its reopening, will gas prices worldwide finally start to come down, or is it too early right now to know for sure? Oil prices had quite a dip this morning, but will that translate to cheaper prices at the pump? Joining me live on Midday is Gas Buddy petroleum analyst Matt McLean. Matt, thanks for being with us.
No problem at all.
Okay, we've taken this on before, but as soon as the Strait opens, how long will it take for those gas prices to start coming down?
Well, obviously, you kind of went down through the whole gamut. Is the Strait open? Is it not open? That's the big question. If it's open, then and remains open, the big asterisk there. If it remains open, we're looking at prices hopefully beginning to fall very slightly as early as this weekend. We're talking 3 to 5 cents, but I'll take every penny that counts, right? And so if it remains open beyond that, next week up to 10 cents a gallon decrease, the following week up to an additional 15 cents a gallon decrease. But we need that strait to remain open and things to not be so volatile for that to happen. The other extreme is everything falls apart with the ceasefire, and then we go back to fighting, and that puts us on a trajectory basically exactly as we were at this time yesterday, unknown, with the price spiking.
So let's talk about this one condition of the deal that's come up, and it's that Iran and Oman can charge fees on ships going through the strait. Could that result in the prices not coming down at all?
It's a very unique and uncertain set of circumstances. There's no question that we just need the writing to be on the wall, so to speak. We just don't know the details back and forth over whether or not that's going to have a direct impact on crude oil prices or not. Traditionally speaking, America does not rely on any kind of a Middle Eastern oil, maybe 6%, 7%, on a really good day up to 10%, but even that would be quite rare. So that fee, if you will, would probably be leveraged onto places which rely heavily on Middle Eastern oil because it wouldn't necessarily be factored into the price of a barrel of crude as far as the open exchange market. I would lean at this moment toward the idea that it will not impact America at all, but we still need more details before that can be definitive.
Okay, since we don't rely on this oil, why do the gas prices fluctuate so drastically compared to like other goods?
Well, we are in a crude oil market exchange, which is a global market exchange. We really want that. Everything is based in a U.S. dollar, no matter where it is. And no two countries can exchange oil without utilizing the U.S. dollar. Even if that country hates us, they still have to use that crude oil exchange in U.S. dollars to purchase the oil. That really pins up the value of the U.S. dollar in a way that allows us to live the life that we all live in America, whether it's struggling or not. Things would get progressively worse in a very short order if we lost the ability to utilize the U.S. dollar for the crude oil exchange. Now, the other side of that is when you have an upset like this, what impacts one impacts us all. Middle Eastern oil isn't a big deal as far as supplies when it comes to America, but the overall oil price will be impacted anytime you remove 20% of anything out of the market.
Right, Matt, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Sure thing.
Matt McLean is a petroleum analyst with Gas Buddy. In just a few minutes, we're going to continue our coverage of the war in Iran and really dig into what's in the ceasefire agreement between the U.S., Israel, and Iran. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Tito?
We're getting reports of an accident in Utah County. It's on westbound Timpanogos Highway, just before the I-15 on-ramp. It appears to be out of traffic and off to the shoulder. Also, another accident was reported in downtown Salt Lake City at 7th East and 1st South. That appears to be in the cleanup stages. If your roof needs repair or replacement, do it now during S&S Roofing's huge spring sale. Flexible financing options available. Get the best value on the highest quality roofing job. Get a quote today at snsroofingutah.com. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does it feel like someone's stabbing a knife into your heel? Or does your lower back give you problems as the day goes on? The Good Feet store wants to help you like we helped Ann.
Every time I stood up, pain just shot up my legs. Fortunately, I found the Good Feet store. I went to them after my doctor diagnosed me with plantar fasciitis. And now, thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm 100%.
Wouldn't it be nice to get back to doing what you love, like Patrick did?
I was in constant pain. Somehow my fiance and I found our way into the Good Feet store. Put my foot on the arch support system. I put them in my shoes, my back, my knees, my ankles. Thank you. Thank you, everybody at the Good Feet store. You gave me my active life back.
Learn more or schedule an appointment at goodfeet.com and come in and get your free personalized fitting at the Good Feet store. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
We want to talk about Soda, Diet, and Nutrition. SOTA stands for State of the Art. And Andy and I both let go of massive amounts of weight. You more than me.
70 pounds in 5 months.
And I did 37 pounds in 3 months. And what worked for me was so many things. Talking to a nutritionist every week and having her tell me what to eat. I can do as I'm told.
Yeah.
But I have no clue where to begin.
And I needed the help too. It's just food. There's no pills, no injections. So you learn how to both let go of the weight and then how to keep it off.
So Soda, Diet, and Nutrition is a great place to start. But if you started with pills or medications and you find yourself starting to gain some weight back, Soda, Diet, and Nutrition is a great way to learn how to have a new relationship with food to go into the future.
You can talk with a nutritionist by calling 866-800-SOTA, S-O-T-A, or you can go to their website, sotadietandnutrition.com.
Join now and your partner joins for free. 2 people, real accountability for the price of 1.
Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
You're listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. The Strait of Hormuz is closed again today, but the ceasefire between the U.S., Israel, and Iran is officially still on. That's not to say it's on solid ground, though. As we've been discussing, Iran is threatening escalation and more troubles in the strait should Israel continue its attacks on Lebanon. News Nation's Trevor Shirley explains.
It's still unclear if that ceasefire has officially started or how long it could hold. This morning, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth essentially declared mission accomplished in Iran.
Operation Epic Fury was a historic and overwhelming victory on the battlefield. A capital V military victory.
The secretary spoke to reporters after President Donald Trump announced a 2-week ceasefire, even as reports indicate Iran continued to launch missiles overnight.
President Trump forged this moment. Iran begged for this ceasefire.
Tuesday night, President Trump announced the 2-week ceasefire just hours before he threatened to destroy the entire Iranian civilization. Iran later confirmed the tentative agreement had been reached, also posting that safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be possible during the 2-week pause.
He's told us to come to the negotiating table, but if the Iranians don't do the exact same thing, they're going to find out that the President of the United States is not one to mess around.
Vice President J.D. Vance, speaking in Budapest, called the agreement a, quote, fragile truce.
He has told us to negotiate in good faith, and I think if they negotiate in good faith, we will be able to find a deal.
Despite the ceasefire, lawmakers from both sides criticized the president for calling for the annihilation of Iran, saying that pushing the conflict to the brink of potential nuclear war is no way to negotiate.
The Senate and the House should be back in session, that we should stop an out-of-control president who is causing such harm to the American people and threatening to escalate a war that is already out of control.
President Trump also says the U.S. will work with Iran to locate and dig up enriched uranium that was buried during last summer's strikes. So far, though, Iran has not confirmed that. Reporting in Washington, I'm Trevor Shirley.
So while the ceasefire agreement holds for now, we wanted to take a closer look at what's actually in the agreement. What are all sides agreeing to do? We get more now from ABC News Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce.
Well, Iran, no surprise, is framing this as a victory for their side. The Iranian foreign minister framing this as the U.S. accepting their general framework of the 10-point proposal that Iran put forward as the basis for negotiations. Now, that isn't quite how the U.S. sees things, but Iran critically agreeing that for a period of 2 weeks, they will allow safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz. The question is, how will they be able to reach any consensus on a broader deal that can actually bring this war to a close once and for all?
But there's confusion still on whether the ceasefire actually began in the first place and if it's still on if the Strait of Hormuz remains closed.
I've been told that this ceasefire goes into effect once the strait is reopened. That's what has to happen in order for attacks to be halted. And now both sides have agreed, so presumably that is happening in short order.
This is President Trump being able to say that he's gotten them to come to the table and ultimately reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and we've seen what that's done to oil markets with its closure over the last several days.
And remember, this ceasefire was a proposal that was made by Pakistan, which has been acting as a go-between the two sides, putting forth this idea of a 2-week ceasefire contingent on the passage of ships through the strait to allow more time to negotiate. This all came together frantically, very quickly, late yesterday afternoon as that clock was ticking down to the president's deadline. But it does offer this potential off-ramp, or at least it buys additional time to negotiate. It hasn't been firmed up yet when the two sides will actually come together, but it does seem that that will happen in short order, given that this ceasefire now is just on the calendar for 2 weeks.
Another question we've had is the role of the president's threats yesterday. Did those same threats contribute to Iran agreeing to a ceasefire?
It's unclear whether that incredibly alarming, apocalyptic warning is what pushed Iran to be willing to agree to this ceasefire. That's unclear, but certainly one of many remaining questions. But the president is taking a lot of heat for this. I mean, he was threatening to wipe out a civilization, to target civilian infrastructure, threatening to wipe out all of Iran's bridges and power plants.
Burning, exploding, and never to be used again. I mean, complete
demolition.
Even some of the president's staunch allies were saying this goes too far, basically. Of course, knocking out civilian infrastructure constitutes a war crime, even though the president has said he's not worried about breaking any international law.
While we may never really know what drove the country to the table, many of the president's own supporters and allies weren't very happy with his remarks, threatening to take out an entire civilization. Yesterday, many called for Congress to remove the president from office because of his comments. At this point, that doesn't appear to be happening. Utah's congressional delegation has not commented on whether they would support a vote on the issue of removing the president. It's 1:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. Military families facing some incredible challenges. Over the next half hour, we're going to take a deep dive into those unique challenges and how we can all come together to support them in their trials. And KSL traffic, Tito.
The quiet drive continues across our major valley freeways. Expect to be on your way with no delays. Maria?
And our mild weather is expected to continue through, looks like Friday, possibly into Saturday. But on Saturday, we should see a 30% chance of showers and then a good chance of showers on Sunday.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franz. And the White House taking a victory lap after President Trump agreed in the final hours to extend a deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz or face military strikes. At today's briefing, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was asked about the president's suggestions that Iran and the U.S. could collect tolls through the critical global shipping waterway.
That's not something we've said that we've definitively accepted. The joint venture is something that was proposed by the president, but he was very clear in his statement last night. He wants to see the strait reopened immediately without limitation, and that's something we're going to hold them to.
The White House says Vice President J.D. Vance will lead the U.S. delegation for negotiations with Iran set to take place Friday in Pakistan. The mission to the moon, now the journey back to Earth. The Artemis II crew spending today going through system and safety checks. The Orion space capsule on the path to splash down Friday off the coast of California. The weather looks favorable so far. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. A woman in South Ogden is accused of murdering her boyfriend with a bottle. KSL News Radio's Cameron Elliott has more.
Police say Terry Morgan called 911 shortly after waking up from a nap. They say she told dispatch she found him unresponsive on the couch, claiming he had a seizure, fell, and hit his head. However, officers searched her phone and say Morgan sent a photo of her boyfriend bleeding on the couch, saying she'd hit him with a bottle over the head after an argument over the victim's drinking. Police say Morgan later admitted to hitting the man with the bottle, but said she pushed him to call an ambulance, but he refused. She said she went to take a nap, and when she returned, he was dead.
Police say she claimed she didn't call emergency services because she didn't believe the injuries were that bad. Other local stories KSL is following. A Provo man accused of shooting at another car while he was on parole appeared before a judge again today. 30-year-old Hamilton Tabanico is facing several new charges after prosecutors say that he shot at a car during a road rage encounter in Provo on New Year's Day. Today, Judge Tony Graff signed off on a protective order prohibiting Tabanico from having any contact with the victims.
You're not to have any contact with not phone, text, email, in person, or social media, nor having a third party reach out on their behalf, on your behalf to them. Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand.
Tabanico is scheduled to be back in court in 2 weeks. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is up by almost 1,200 points, 2.5%, sitting at 47,782. S&P up by 151. The NASDAQ up 2.5%, up 551 points. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Tito?
We have a new accident in Utah County. It's on the southbound I-15 on-ramp at Center Street in Orem. Looks to be off to the right shoulder and out of the way of traffic. It also looks like we have a bit of a jam on eastbound Pioneer Crossing in Lehigh. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today's high 70 degrees, a slight chance of showers returning tomorrow, and that slight chance will be with us for most of the week before it increases to a 40% chance on Sunday. Right now, 68 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
In Utah, over 200,000 families have trusted RGS Exteriors with their homes. And there's a reason for that. Our family's business has been serving Utah homeowners for 5 generations. In fact, there's no exterior company in Utah with a longer history. Not even close. That kind of reputation doesn't happen by accident. It happens year after year, award after award, referral after referral, and home after home. At RGS Exteriors, we specialize in siding, windows, gutters, and decking that protect and transform your home.
Hi, Tim Brown here, RGS Exteriors. My family has been building and improving homes in Utah for 5 generations, and taking care of homeowners is something we take very serious. With over 1,300 5-star Google reviews, 21 Best of State awards, and our 10-year workmanship warranty, homeowners know they can trust RGS. Over 200,000 families across Utah have trusted RGS Exteriors with their home, and so can you. Schedule your free estimate today at 801-280-3110, 801-280-3110.
This weekly tax tip is brought to you by the Utah Association of Certified Public Accountants. Here's CEO Susan Spears.
Did you use a payment app last year like Venmo or PayPal? If so, don't ignore this tax form. It's called a 1099-K. A 1099-K doesn't automatically mean you owe more tax, but ignoring it can cause you a headache. This form reports payments you received through apps like Venmo or PayPal. And here's the key thing to know. It shows gross payments, not your profit. That means it doesn't subtract refunds or expenses, and it has no idea whether that money was from a business or just paying a friend back for dinner. Remember, the IRS sees your 1099-K, so the income needs to be reported correctly, even if you don't owe tax on it.
Get the most out of your income tax preparation when you hire a licensed CPA. Visit uacpa.org to find a CPA that's right for you. And check out new tax tip videos by following on social media at Talk to Your CPA.
You're listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. As the situation in the Middle East continues to develop and more troops head to the region, we're taking a moment to think about the families of those servicemen and women that are left behind. For military families, these kinds of developments can be quite unsettling, with many feeling a sense of helplessness as their loved ones serve overseas. Over the next half hour, we're going to go in depth on the struggles facing military families and how we all can help them in times like this. Now, we're going to chat with the son of a military service member to get his perspectives on support in just a few minutes. But first, let's begin our conversation with Jordan Dye. He's a licensed clinical social worker and military educational therapist with the Davis School District. Thanks for being with me, Jordan.
Absolutely.
So with all the talk of armed conflict and war in the Middle East, and with people being deployed now and all the time, what are some of the very specific struggles facing military families?
The big one is really just the unknown, right? Where we don't know. I've had people during this conflict reach out to me of, hey, are you being deployed? Hey, what's happening with that? It's a lot of the military member may not always know. Definitely the family has a lot of unknown is what is happening when, if they're being deployed, when will that happen? What will that look like? How long will they be gone? All of those unknowns is really hard.
Help us understand, as you work with children of service members, what challenges do they face and how do they cope?
Again, the unknown is one of the big challenges. One big piece as working with these kids, and it depends on the child and their experience. I have one that I have worked with where he was like, it's just another deployment. Dad's been gone eight times on deployment. It's like just another deployment, whatever. Whereas others, it's their brand new very first, and it's a lot of, well, I don't know if my parent is safe. I don't know even where they are. I don't get to communicate with them super often. And a lot of the difficulty that comes with, you have this person in your life that you love and interact with on a regular basis, and now they're gone.
So what are some of the ways that families find support then?
We in Davis County with the Davis County School District, we have the military support team, so we provide support at the school to students. There's also a lot of resources through the military. There's military family life counselors and other options. Like Military One Source is another one where they can reach out and talk to somebody. Often in these resources, it's a person who's been connected to the military. Maybe they served previously or are a current family member of somebody who is or was serving, and can have that connection of that, able to validate that emotion and be like, hey, I have experienced this. I might not know exactly what you're going through, but I've experienced something similar, and this is what's worked for me, and some ways that we can talk about it and work through ways to bring down that level of anxiety a little bit.
Right. Help us understand how this works in your school district. How do you know when a child is, from a military family?
It's all a parent report. We rely on our parents telling the school that, hey, I am military connected. We have some options when they register to be able to do that. And we have had multiple principals here in the district that in the last couple months, month or so, have reached out to each of those families that they have on their records that we know are active military, and have said, hey, have you been impacted right now? How are you doing? How are your kids doing? How can we help?
So do teachers also keep an eye out to see who might be more stressed out and might need some extra love, attention, a conversation with someone?
We hope so. That's our goal. We do trainings with teachers, helping them to be aware of that and to look out for and watch that. Often when we have a change like this in a military family, we might see some changes in behavior in the classroom. And that teacher noticing that and then reaching out and talking to the kid and or the parent that's at home of, hey, I've noticed some changes. What's happening at home? How can we help?
Since you have so many military families in your district, do you have special counselors on hand that can actually just have a conversation with these kids if they need to?
Yeah, so myself and Jen Rupp, one other military educational therapist with this district, so we cover all of the 90 schools in this district. And when a parent or the school recognizes, hey, there's a military connected kid that's having some challenges that are connected to the parent's military service, they reach out to our team, and we go and pull them out of class, meet with them, help them to have that time to talk and process and learn some skills to help to cope with the anxieties that are happening with the changes and difficulties at home.
Wow, 90 schools. I mean, that has to be overwhelming for you in a time like this one.
Yeah, it gets busy, but we've done a lot with training the staff here in the district. So every school has a school counselor, and they have much more awareness now of the military connected kids and how that impacts. And a lot of it is able to be managed at the school level by just intentional check-ins, even if they don't have that real big military awareness or experience. Just doing an intentional check-in with a kid or a parent really goes a long way.
Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to just get a little bit personal. You're a veteran yourself, right? You've been deployed before?
Yeah, so I'm in the Army National Guard.
Okay, so as someone who deployed just a few years ago, was there anything that people here could have done to support your family in a way that maybe would have allowed you to not be stressed out so much or worry about their well-being?
Yeah, the big one. So in my role, I'm a behavioral health officer in the National Guard, and I had multiple people on the deployment who we had to send home because of difficulties that were happening at home that weren't able to be managed by others there. And that impacts mission. That also impacts the individual and and the family, and having people who are willing to jump in and help with carpool, help do some childcare moments, even if it's an hour or two, so that at home spouse can have some time alone and can have a break for a minute, which is difficult when you're used to having another person helping that process and they're deployed overseas. So a lot of that reaching out, offering support to the people at home means a lot to us when we're deployed, because then we know that our family is taken care of. And that frees up a lot of mental ability to then be able to put all our intention into the job that we're there to do in that deployment.
Jordan, I appreciate your time. Thanks for being with me.
You're welcome.
Jordan Dye is a military educational therapist, student, and family resources department at the Davis School District. In just a moment, we're going to chat with the child of a military service member to get their unique perspective. Stay with us.
I didn't realize how bad my windows were until I replaced them. You think your house is fine, and then you sit by a new high-performance window, and suddenly you're not freezing in the winter or baking in the summer. Peach Windows and Doors showed me the difference between builder-grade windows and real performance windows. The glass packages, the seals, the insulation, it's not even close. And here's the part I love. It completely changes the look of the house. Cleaner lines, bigger glass, more light. It instantly feels upgraded. Whether you're building $1 million home or you want yours to look like one, windows matter more than you think. Lower energy bills, more comfort, massive curb appeal. Go see the difference for yourself at peachdoorsandwindows.com or visit their showroom. Trust me, once you see the difference, you can't unsee it. peachdoorsandwindows.com.
As we discuss the importance of supporting military families, I want to take a few minutes and focus in on the kids, the ones who see their mom or dad leave for months at a time to serve their country. It can be a rather unique challenge for children of service members, but there are also some rather unique ways that those kids can be supported and find community. Joining me now on Midday is Joe Wordland, digital producer here at KSL. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me, Joe.
Of course. Great to be here.
So help me talk about this. You're a military kid. What was that like?
Yeah, so my dad joined the Air Force before I was born, and he had a bunch of different moves all across the country. He started in Utah and then moved to Boston, Cambridge, around there, and that's where I was born. And then we moved to California, then Colorado, back to Massachusetts, Ohio, finally to Massachusetts, and then retired to Michigan. And so we've been all across the country.
So kind of describe what that was like. Is that a bit unsettling to be moved all around?
It was a little bit, it was always an adventure. Me personally, I never went to the same school for more than 2 consecutive years until my college days. And it was always just, okay, I'm going to be here for 2 years and we're going to try and bloom where we're planted. And then, okay, time to go to the next one. The longest we ever lived anywhere was 4.5 years in Ohio. And I really loved it out there. And then it was good to see so many different places across the country. But it was also a little bit difficult to keep and maintain those long-lasting friendships. I have a couple of good friends that I'm still in touch with, but the vast majority of them, they've slipped away just as you move on.
Yeah, so explain for us what it was like when your parents served.
Yeah, so my dad, he retired as a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, and it was honestly very cool. It was a chance to say, okay, my dad is serving the country. We were very patriotic, happy to live in America, and for the longest time, we were very lucky that my dad just never got scheduled to go on a deployment. And that would be a time where he leaves his family and heads overseas to any number of different U.S. bases across the world. In 2014, around then, I remember that my parents sat my older sister, my little sister, and I down, and we had our favorite dinner. And it was a surprise because we don't normally have that. And it was very, very delicious, had lots of fun. And then my dad broke the news with my mom right by his side saying, I'm going to be deployed to Afghanistan. And this was 2014, and that was very, very scary. I think I was 12, or maybe not 12, but I was very young at the time. And my little sister was 8 or 9, and older sister's a little bit older than that. And it was very, very nerve-wracking, because you never want a family member to die in service, but it was also that's what he was supposed to do. That he was in the Air Force, he was a soldier, he was trying to serve his country. And so it was this very interesting balance of, I don't want my dad to leave, and I need to respect and honor the choices that he himself has made.
So what did you do for support? How did you find support?
A lot of it was sticking together with my siblings. It was the two of us against the world for the longest time, and then my little sister joined us, and it was the three of us against the world. And one of the things that we did is we stuck together. Like, I have a really good relationship with both of them, and trying to just say, okay, well, we've got to stay together. And we had that. And then externally, my mom also was a rock, and just supporting us and trying to make sure that we stayed focused on the positive side of things, as well as I don't know where she found it necessarily, but she got us involved with these military kid camps. And it's Operation Purple Camp is one of them. I'm not sure if that's the only one that's there, but it was a chance to go and get these different opportunities that most kids don't have. I mean, they're missing out on having their parent with them, and I think it was one way for people to say, hey, just because you're missing out on this doesn't mean that you can't still have these wonderful experiences that you would have had with a parent. We would go whitewater rafting, we would go rock climbing, we would go high ropes course, and also here's some ways to cope with the challenges. Here are some journaling techniques. Here are some positive steps forward to be able to say, yeah, this is hard, and I can tackle it, I can do it.
Sounds like a huge stress reliever.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay, I just have to ask, as a military kid, what would you like folks to know about that? What would you hope that they could learn from your experience?
The military it's a place that keeps our country safe. It keeps families safe. I mean, the fact that that it's kind of said that the military family serves just as much as the service member does, just in different ways. And in supporting the troops and supporting with those families, you're supporting people, you're supporting individuals that are just as important as the actions that the servicemen do. The actions that are at home allow them to keep serving in the field.
I appreciate you. Thanks so much for coming in.
Absolutely.
And that is Joe Worthland. He's a KSL digital producer. Governor Spencer Cox has also declared April as the month of the military child. He encourages Utahns to wear purple in visible support of military children and to symbolize the unity and strength of the armed forces. We have more information on that proclamation at ksl.com. After the break, we'll wrap up our special coverage talking about ways to support veterans and active military service members themselves. But first, it's traffic. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU, love where you bank. Tito?
No slowdowns or delays across the valley on our major highways, I-15, 215, and I-80, all traveling at great speeds. I am seeing some spots of slowing across Bangerter Highway and the 21st South Freeway. This is mostly in areas with a construction presence, but overall, all roads are in great shape. At UTA, they move your early mornings, your long days, your big plans. They move purpose. They move you. Plan your trip at rideuta.com. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
Looking for something fun to win this week? Head to ksl.com/win and enter now. We're giving you the chance to score tickets to the Disney Worlds Collide Concert Tour or cheer on Real Salt Lake with tickets to a variety of games this season. It's quick, easy, and free to enter. So don't miss out. Visit ksl.com/win today and see what you could be winning this week. ksl.com/win. Good luck.
I'm Congressman Mike Kennedy. For years, Utah families have paid too much for health care, groceries, and everyday essentials. I'm fighting for health care reform that puts patients first and lowers costs. I'm also working to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington because your tax dollars should be spent wisely. Fiscal responsibility means lower costs and a government that works for you. I'm Mike Kennedy, and I'll keep fighting for Utah families. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
My friend Joey means well.
Always remember that the early bird gathers no moss.
But he gets a little confused.
You know, you can't make a silk purse out of a wooden nickel.
Like Joey, many of us can be confused when it comes time to plan for retirement. When to take Social Security, how to use that 401k, what about the stock market, taxes, and Medicare? Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management can help to simplify retirement planning. His goal is to have you walk into retirement with confidence, not worry, and to address the number one concern among retirees today, the fear of running out of money. Call Galileo Wealth today for a no-cost, no-obligation meeting to talk about the details of your retirement. 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000 or online, GalileoWealth.com. And remember,
one man's trash is thicker than water. Of course, water's not thick at all. It's watery.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. So we are continuing our special coverage supporting military families. Over the last 20 minutes or so, we've heard from someone who had to leave his family to serve, as well as a child of someone who's had to serve. As we broaden the conversation out to supporting veterans and service members as a whole, those with the American Legion say some of the best support we can give our brave men and women is to support the families they leave behind.
Well, I think probably one of the most important things, Don, is, their families who are back here are often struggling and concerned. And so one of my favorite things is who will help mow their lawns, who will help shovel their sidewalks. Because when Dad's away, many of those duties fall to the mom. So I think the neighbors and those in the Veterans Committee need to look after them. And I'm involved with the American Legion. And we have a program called Be the One, and that program is about helping to prevent veteran suicides. But we do a thing called Buddy Check, where we reach out to the veterans, see how they're doing, see if there's anything that we can do to assist them. And I think that's probably one of the most important things we can do.
Terry Scow says, while veterans often have a hard time asking for help, there are a number of resources available for veterans.
The VA is really one of the largest providers of mental health services to veterans in the world. The VA Medical Center right here in Salt Lake City has a huge mental health team, a PTS team, post-traumatic stress team, and every one of their clinics have got social workers associated with them. And so we would certainly encourage those folks to reach out. And another kind of a hidden gem, if you will, is something called the Vet Centers. Vet centers were started back in the 70s to help Vietnam vets with post-traumatic stress. And we've got the vet centers in Ogden. We've got one in Salt Lake. We've got one in Utah County. We've got one down in Washington County. And they're kind of a free zone where veterans can go in and seek some mental health counseling. And even people who are in law enforcement or even military folks today can go to a vet center. And those are great resources that are available to veterans and active military folks as well.
Since veterans are reluctant to seek help once they get home, Scout tells KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff it's important for friends and family to watch out for concerning behavior.
I think family members, if they notice a veteran becoming more withdrawn, sadly sometimes folks turn to alcohol or drugs to kind of help quell their demons, if you will. So I think the important thing is for the families just to kind of keep a close eye on those folks. And even something as simple as during the fireworks times. A lot of people don't think about it, but many veterans, combat veterans especially, are very susceptible to loud noises because it reminds them of the combat situation. So I think just keeping a watchful eye, and if you've got someone in your family who served, reach out to them and see if there's anything you can do, and even better yet, pay them a visit, reaching out to folks who are within your circle, who you know who have served, and veterans who have served as well.
Scout says we can also show support for veterans by thanking them for their service and by simply wearing red on Fridays. In the next hour of Midday, we're talking sports. We'll discuss who is set to enter the NCAA transfer portal and what that could mean for college sports here in the state. I hope you'll stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
As we inch closer to the primary elections in just a few months, we're getting a pulse check on the race to represent Utah in Congress. New data showing the race to represent Utah's new 1st District is red hot.
This upcoming congressional election appears to be quite competitive, not only in the new Democratic-leaning district, but also in the other 3 GOP-leaning districts. Ben McAdams and Representative Blake Moore each raking in top dollar in their respective races.
The time is 2 o'clock on Wednesday, April 8th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, who's raised the most money so far, and does it tell us anything about the future of the races? Details coming up in about 5 minutes. Also this hour,
we all come together and we all share the things and memories that we had with him, and try to find a way to continue his legacy.
Utah's Krishna community in mourning today after their leader died in a Utah County car crash. But first, our top stories. Iranian officials say that the U.S. has violated the ceasefire agreement with Iran because of Israel's attacks on Lebanon. More now from ABC's Tom Soufi-Burridge.
The Lebanese government are saying more than 250 people have been killed today alone. Amongst those killed are children and journalists. The IDF says it is targeting Hezbollah, that key Iranian proxy. And the IDF says and accuses Hezbollah of using civilians as human shields. But what is very clear, and it's hard to, basically verify those kind of claims in the fog of war, but what is very clear right now is that we are seeing a very high collateral civilian death toll.
Some reports are suggesting that Iran has stopped oil tankers from going through the Strait of Hormuz. We'll continue to bring you the latest. Meantime, crude oil prices have dropped 10, almost 15% since the initial announcement of the ceasefire agreement. If it holds, ABC News chief economics correspondent Rebecca Jarvis says we might see the price drop reflected at the gas pump.
The national average for a gallon of gas is $4.17. Analysts believe pump prices could start reversing nationally in the next 48 hours by a few cents every day if prices hold here. Gas Buddy's Patrick DeHaan estimates that we see pump prices below $4 within 2 weeks. The most important question going forward, however, is to what extent does shipping via that Strait of Hormuz pick up in the coming days?
U.S. crude is trading under $100 a barrel. Other national stories KSL is following. Jasmine Sangha, the woman known as the ketamine queen, was sentenced to 15 years in prison today. She was convicted for providing the ketamine that killed Friends actor Matthew Perry. ABC's Melissa Adon has more.
In court, there were moving victim impact statements, including from Matthew Perry's stepmother, who said, quote, "The pain you caused is irreversible. You clearly had a talent for making money, but you chose to hurt people. How sad."
Sangha pleaded guilty to 3 counts of distribution of ketamine and 1 count of distribution resulting in death. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow up by more than 1,300 points, almost 3% at the close, sitting at 47,909. S&P 500 up by 165 points, that's 2.5%. And the NASDAQ up by 617 points, nearly 3% increase. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Tito?
It's a trouble-free drive with no delays as we begin the 2 p.m. hour. No spots of slowing across our major highways. The only issue right now looks to be light congestion on Pioneer Crossing as well as SR 73 in Utah County. Escape to Copper Rock in southern Utah. World-class golf meets breathtaking scenery, housing, and amenities. Come for the golf, stay for the adventure. Learn more at copperrock.com. Copper Rock, born to be played. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
Our forecast calling for highs in the 70s all the way through Saturday. A big change coming on Sunday. A 10-degree temperature drop down to 61 for the high and a 40% chance of showers on Sunday and Monday. 68 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Take the first step. Visit CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com.
Ready for your next vehicle? At Performance Automotive in Bountiful, your new Ford, Toyota, or Honda is here. Built for Utah communities, canyon weekends, and everything in between. Choose capability with Ford, long-lasting reliability with Toyota, or smooth efficiency with Honda. Backed by friendly experts and financing options that fit your budget. Visit Performance Ford, Performance Toyota, and Performance Honda for your test drive. Browse inventory, check pricing, and schedule your visit at PerformanceBountiful.com. Performance Automotive in Bountiful, driven to be the best.
I'm here with Monty from Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer. So, Monty, I wonder if you know someone like this. He's the ultimate DIY guy. Restores classic cars, builds his own deck, and even smokes his own brisket.
Sounds like a talented guy.
He is, but get this, his other weekend hobby is troubleshooting his water softener. He's always down there resetting the timer or fiddling with the circuit board.
See, Doug, that's where I draw the line. Smoking a brisket is a great weekend project.
Yeah.
Fixing an electric water softener is just a chore.
Exactly. He thinks he's saved money by buying the bargain brand, but he's paying for it with his Saturdays.
That's the Connecticut difference. Our systems are premium because they are non-electric and fully automated. No computers to fry, no timers to reset. We install it and you get back to the hobbies you actually enjoy.
If you want soft water, do what I did and leave that to Connecticut. It runs on water power, not willpower. Learn more at softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
We want to talk about soda, diet, and nutrition. SOTA stands for state of the art. And Andy and I both let go of massive amounts of weight. You more than me.
70 pounds in 5 months.
And I did 37 pounds in 3 months. And what worked for me was so many things. Talking to a nutritionist every week and having her tell me what to eat. I can do as I'm told.
Yeah.
But I have no clue where to begin.
And I needed the help too. It's just food. There's no pills, no injections. So you learn how to both let go of the weight and then how to keep it off.
So soda, diet, and nutrition is a great place to start. But if you started with pills or medications and you find yourself starting to gain some weight back, soda, diet, and nutrition is a great way to learn how to have a new relationship with food to go into the future.
You can talk with a nutritionist by calling 866-800-SOTA, S-O-T-A, or you can go to their website, sotadietandnutrition.com.
Join now and your partner joins for free. 2 people, real accountability for the price of 1.
Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
Breaking news. Thank you for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. A Utah teen missing for just over a week has been found, according to the San Juan Sheriff's Office. They say 15-year-old Ethan Brown was last seen in Monticello on the 1st and was found today in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Sheriff's Office says the public's help was crucial in finding Brown, who they say is safe and healthy. Midterm election season is getting hotter and hotter day by day. As we move towards the primaries in June, we're starting to get a look at the money. How much are congressional candidates bringing in as they campaign around the state? And with the newer congressional districts, are things shaping up a bit differently for this election compared to past elections? Joining me now for more on this, Brigham Tomko, Deseret News political reporter. Thanks for being with me today, Brigham.
Yeah, thank you so much. It is a strange election year.
It is. So first of all, start out, who's at the top? Who's collecting the most money?
So some familiar faces are leading the fundraising race with these unfamiliar congressional districts that we're dealing with the new congressional map. And the first is Ben McAdams, who is not a sitting lawmaker, but he was a U.S. representative until 2022. And he's leading with $580,000 new dollars in the first quarter. So that's the first 3 months of the year. And he's followed by Blake Moore, who's in House Republican leadership, and he has over $500,000 as well in this first quarter.
Can we tell how much of these funds are local funds compared to national groups?
Not yet, because these are the self-reported totals that I got from each campaign. This is kind of a first look at first quarter fundraising. And the official FEC filings will be available in a couple of weeks, where we can dive in and see what's the breakdown of where they got this money.
But apparently Ben McAdams is getting a good chunk of Democratic funds.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a race that's wide open and a competitive Democratic primary, which we haven't seen very often in the state of Utah. And so it really is a money race in terms of getting the name out there to these new constituents who are voting for a Democratic primary candidate for the first time in many cases. And so we see a really stiff competition for that kind of alternative to McAdams type role. And so former state senator Nate Bluen came in with over $300,000 in that first term. And so he's very quickly kind of carving out a place as that alternative candidate.
So is that the only place where we're seeing this change in the congressional district maps having an impact?
So what we saw with these new maps is, in addition to creating a blue-leaning district in northern Salt Lake County, we have 3 more Republican-leaning districts around the rest of the state. And so that appears to have opened up a lane, at least in the eyes of these challengers, to try and oust incumbent lawmakers. So in northern Utah, where Representative Blake Moore is running in the new 2nd district, we have a former state lawmaker, Carrie-Ann Lisenby, launching a pretty aggressive campaign with lots of support from state lawmakers. And in the 3rd district, which is now all of eastern and southern Utah, you have sitting incumbent Representative Celeste Malloy facing Phil Lyman, who our listeners might remember from a 2024 gubernatorial campaign. And at least in this northern Utah race, Carrie-Ann Lisenby has raised $150,000 in the first 3 weeks of her campaign. So that could show some momentum on her part. Phil Lyman, on the other hand, refused to share his fundraising totals and said that his focus is on courting the state party delegates for the nominating convention at the end of the month.
So let's talk about President Trump's endorsements. What endorsements are coming into play here?
So President Trump has endorsed Blake Moore and Celeste Malloy, so these two kind of embattled GOP incumbents in the state, and that fits into recent political history in the state of Utah. Celeste Malloy received his endorsement in 2024 as well, and Blake Moore has a tight relationship with some of the leading establishment in Washington, D.C., including House Speaker Mike Johnson in Congress. And so those are races where Carrie-Ann Lisenby and Phil Lyman will want to frame themselves as the true MAGA or more pure conservative candidate, and they're going to have to make that case up against an endorsement from the president.
Okay, what do you think this fundraising says about the state of the races? I mean, obviously we have a long way till Election Day.
What it shows is that the incumbents are in really solid positions, and that's despite them having to reach out to new constituents and kind of work on that name recognition despite having their former districts kind of totally transformed. And so it seems like for the time being, while we might have some surprises, I'm sure, it seems like these familiar faces are on track to have a really solid showing in the primary in June.
Yeah, how much of a difference does it make to have these dollars come in early like this?
Yeah, that's a great question, and something you also want to watch is cash on hand. And so even if they raise lots of money at the top of the year, you want to see how they're spending it. Right now, those two people that were leading in terms of fundraising, McAdams and Moore, are by far those with the most cash on hand. to advertise themselves, to get the word out there, to knock doors. Right now, McAdams has over $800,000 of cash on hand that he's amassed and could still spend in the lead up to the convention and then the primary. And then Blake Moore, who, like I said, has kind of support from these national connections, has $2.4 million in cash on hand. And so that makes any challenge, even from someone like Carrie-Ann Lisenby, who has a support of state legislative leadership, a difficult task.
Brigham, appreciate your time. Thank you. And Brigham Tomko is the Deseret News political reporter. The Krishna community here in Utah remembering their president who passed away in a car crash this week. Police identifying the victim as 79-year-old Christopher Carew Warden. KSL 5 TV's Tyrese Boone has more on how the community is honoring his legacy.
Friends and volunteers at the Krishna Temple are remembering their president as a man who dedicated his life to service. Now, they plan on honoring Christopher Carew Warden by continuing that work that he started. Police confirm 79-year-old Christopher Carew Warden died following a traffic accident in Springville on Monday. Investigators say the cause of that crash remains under investigation.
It was very difficult for me to believe.
Warden helped establish Krishna temples in both Salt Lake City and Spanish Fork, creating spaces where many say they found a deeper connection to Hinduism and their faith.
Even a couple of days ago on Saturday, we have a community service here in the evening, and he was there for that. He gave a motivational talk, and he was a very active person, very energetic.
Temple members also credit him with organizing large cultural celebrations, including the annual Holi Festival, also known as the Festival of Colors, bringing thousands together in both locations.
We all come together and we all share the things and memories that we had with him, and try to find a way to continue his legacy.
And for many here, Christopher Warden wasn't just a leader, he was the heart of a community, and they plan to keep his mission moving forward.
And that is KSL 5 TV's Tyrese Boone reporting. 2 other people were injured in the crash, which occurred Monday afternoon at the intersection of 1400 North and Main Street. A spokesperson for Spanish Fork, where the Krishna Temple is located, said the city was sad to learn of his passing, saying that he helped create experiences of joy, connection, and belonging for so many in their city. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in just 60 seconds.
This is Nate Orchard from Advanced Window Products. When you live in Utah, your windows do a lot more than let the light in. They protect your home from freezing winters, blazing summers, and everything in between. That's why Advanced Window Products builds every window for your local climate. No middleman, no out-of-state delays, just factory direct quality, custom made for your home. Imagine a quieter home, a warmer home, a cooler home. Our high-efficiency vinyl windows are engineered to lower your energy bills and boost your comfort all year round. And installation is done by our own certified in-house crews, never subcontractors. That's why Utah homeowners give us 5-star reviews. Right now, take advantage of our anniversary sale. For a limited time, get $2,500 off when you buy 10 or more windows. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. For 40 years, Advanced Window Products has been the name Utah trusts for custom replacement windows and sliding glass doors. Advanced Window Products, built here, installed here, trusted here. Call 801-850-9100 for that $2,500 off, or visit us at advancedwindows.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
Some potential shakeups in the world of college sports now that the NCAA transfer portal is open. It opened yesterday and it closes on April 21st. So let's talk about some of the players that we already know about. And joining me now is Jeremiah Jensen, KSL 5 TV sports anchor. So who's in the portal now?
Well, I think the big name that everyone's buzzing about today is Rob Wright at BYU, as far as basketball goes, right? And it's basketball portal season. So that was a bit of a shocker for BYU fans. That's a big loss for them if he does not come back. Now, it's important to remind people that just because somebody gets into the portal doesn't mean they're gone. It means they're now able to talk to other schools and listen to other offers. Sometimes people will go into the portal with a do not contact tag, which means they've already chosen their new destination. But this is not one of those cases. So Rob could certainly come back, but how much money is BYU willing to pay? Now you look up north at Utah State, Mason Falls and Carson Templin got it. Well, Mason never did, but Carson Templin got in the transfer portal. He comes back because he gets what he wants and he likes the coach. So we'll see what happens. It's kind of a wait-and-see thing, but this is the new world in college sports, and at the end of the year, you're going to see almost half of college basketball players at the Division I level entering the transfer portal, which is pretty crazy.
Okay, so Jeremiah, it's going to take a while for me as a fan to get used to this. Because
yes.
even though they might come back, the portal doesn't mean that they're leaving necessarily. It kind of says that they want to leave, doesn't it?
If you're a fan of college sports, and you have been for a long, long time, and it used to be about representing your school and your community, this probably shakes you a little bit, right? Because you have these kids that are playing and representing your school, and then they're gone in 6 months. You don't get a chance to really get an attachment to them or get this where players that last for 4 years, they become legends in those schools, and they become attached to the community and part of the community. I've worked with several now in the sports world here that made a difference in this community while they were at Utah or BYU or Utah State or Weber State or whichever school you choose. Those connections aren't there anymore. So guys that are only there for 6 months or girls that are there for 6 months don't develop those connections. And it also, the connection lacks with the fans. So to your point, your question is, I don't like this because I've learned who this player is, and then they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
This is how
it's hard to have loyalty.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. But in the past, coaches used to be able to get rid of players and pull their scholarships.
Well, that's true, too.
So, all this, you also have to understand a lot of the other things that went into this and why the court cases happened in the first place that allowed players to receive NIL and to have this kind of freedom of transfer and bounce around.
Okay, but what is the impact on the teams right now?
Well, if BYU loses Rob Wright, it's a tremendous loss because he was their lead guard. He scored a lot of points, and he was probably going to be, if not their best player returning, they're one of the top players returning. If they can't come to a deal or an agreement with him and he transfers to another place, they're going to have to fill that role and fill that gap. And so Kevin Young and his staff have a lot of work to do this offseason. Obviously, A.J. DeBonce is going to go to the NBA. Richie Saunders is moving on, and Rob Wright can move on as well. Those are your three top scorers from BYU's team last year you have to replace. But because of the portal, it goes both ways, Maria. They might be able to go out and get a really special player and bring him in. They're also Bruce Branch is a high school star they're bringing in, so there's light at the end of the tunnel with that. So don't get too gloom and doom about the transfer portal. It's take it day by day, and it's kind of like never too high, never too low when the transfer portal comes.
Is this a good thing all the time for players?
Not necessarily. I was talking to you in the break. There's players that jump in the portal and think that there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and that pot of gold isn't there. And they end up getting in the portal thinking they're going to chase some cash or an opportunity, and it's not there. And then they go back to the school that they were at and say, hey, I tested the waters. Wasn't what I thought it was. I want to come back. And they're like, sorry, we don't have a spot for you. We don't have money for you. And then they end up having to go to somewhere where they didn't want to go to, or down another level, or down a level of competition, or lose an opportunity because they gambled in the transfer portal.
They're
so
rolling the dice.
It cuts both ways, and that's the risk that these student athletes are taking right now. Some pay off, some do not. But if you want to get that money and you want to get that cash, then take the risk, jump in the portal. But there's not always that big money reward at the end. Very few times, actually, is there.
All right. Thanks for getting us up to date.
You got it.
And that is Jeremiah Jensen, KSL Sports anchor. Despite medical advancements on all sorts of diseases and disorders, many people with type 2 diabetes still run a high risk of needing amputation at some point in their lives. After the break, we'll get a closer look at a new device just approved by the FDA that could be a complete game changer. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU.
Still no delays if you're traveling on I-15 this hour. It's a clear drive between Ogden and Provo. Our biggest trouble spots appear to be some light congestion if you're heading westbound on the 21st South Freeway just after the I-215 junction. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, summer is just around the corner with the beautiful temperatures that we're experiencing today. I know you're feeling that. And if you really want to take off those extra pounds, I do want to tell you about Salt Lake City Fat Loss. A few years ago, I lost more than 40 pounds with this great program, and it's different. You know, a lot of people are really hesitant to start a weight loss program. They don't want to put on the weight again, and they've done this before. But this is a doctor-developed program, 60 days. It's all natural, no injections or medications. You just eat regular food that you buy in the grocery store. It also costs less because you don't have to buy anything special like breakfast bars or meals. And their app really helps you stay accountable, and it allows you to ask questions anytime, and it gives you the resources you need to keep the weight off. I lost more than 40 pounds. Many of their clients lose up to a pound per day. Learn more at slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes a new inventory every day. Then they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. So you're invited to visit the movie show Friday 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
Is your financial advisor managing your risk or just a spreadsheet? Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. Many financial advisors rely on target date funds, which are one-size-fits-all portfolios that don't know your name, your family, or your goals. And that passive management can leave you dangerously exposed. At Trajan, we look at the whole picture, not just the stocks everyone else buys, but the private market opportunities most advisors ignore. And as fiduciaries, we build a strategy around you, coordinating your investments, tax strategy, and estate into one cohesive plan. Your financial life deserves more than just a generic portfolio. Real planning isn't a stack of statements. It's the confidence of knowing where your income will come from for the next 30 years. Good enough isn't good enough for your family. It's time for a change. Schedule your complimentary consultation today.
Call Trajan today at 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Private equity investments require accreditation. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
At Cadillac, we believe true luxury isn't just about craftsmanship. It's about innovation. That's why we created a luxury line of electric SUVs, including the best-selling Lyriq, the all-new Optic, and the Escalade IQ, the first fully electric full-sized SUV. You can travel over 400 miles on a single charge. So come get your dream car and see exactly why driving a Cadillac is like no other driving experience. Visit Jerry Seiner Cadillac and experience the Seiner difference today.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Not only is type 2 diabetes seen as an epidemic, and now there's an epidemic of amputations occurring in the diabetes world. ABC's Steve Osinsami joins Brad Milkey on Start Here to explain why the number of amputations has exploded, especially in Black and brown communities.
What often happens with diabetics is they lose their fingers or usually their lower extremities, their toes, their feet.
When high blood sugar is left unchecked, arteries get clogged and blood vessels get narrow. Eventually, they get so weak and frail that extremities can't get enough blood to survive.
There is this exceptional rise in what's called PAD, peripheral artery disease, and the amputations that occur because of that.
In the next hour after you hear this, 16 Americans will have had amputations because of it, which is how Steve met Cynthia Ryan.
I'm so happy to be able to tell somebody my story.
We followed the story of Cynthia Ryan. She's a 64-year-old retired nurse and grandmother in Memphis, Tennessee.
People tell me all the time, I ain't gonna claim diabetes. You ain't gotta claim it because they're gonna claim you.
Cynthia learned she had diabetes back in 2001. Eventually, she managed to get her blood sugar down, but damage had already been done. She'd had 2 heart attacks, her kidneys were failing. Now, a simple toe injury became an emergency. It became clear her arteries were not sending enough blood to her feet.
Her toe was black. It was very hard to look at.
This toe is dead.
Right.
She said, Mama, don't say that.
The nurse in you knew.
I knew my toe was dead.
And you feared.
And I feared it's going to go further.
She knew she was diabetic, but she wasn't really taking care of her blood sugar levels. And now she's in crisis.
Now, when Steve says crisis, he means crisis. When blood flow deteriorates like this, damage to the toe can quickly become damage to the foot or the leg. Because of that, the first instinct for many doctors can be to amputate aggressively.
However, some doctors say that instinct to amputate aggressively is part of the problem.
Movement is life. And so just by saving these limbs, you're saving that patient's life.
Dr. Jacqueline Majors in Memphis told us of these patients who end up with a major amputation, 25% of them are usually dead in a year.
These patients significantly benefit from an angiogram. And that's an intervention where you open up the blood vessels in their legs, which can restore flow, heal wounds, and prevent amputations. As the limb salvage director here, this is what I do on a daily basis.
That's what it's limb salvage director.
That's right.
Dr. Majors became Cynthia's doctor. She was determined to make sure Cynthia only lost that one toe.
We start off with a small, gentle balloon dilation.
She actually used a balloon to literally inflate the spaces inside Cynthia's foot to get the blood flowing.
We were there with her during this procedure in Memphis, and it was a success.
How does the foot feel?
Foot feels good.
Now, while that procedure worked well, Cynthia still died from the disease because she didn't follow up with her care. Her family now wants to make sure that that doesn't happen to others.
Make sure you are able to navigate this and make decisions as you go and not as an emergency. These are preventable things that we could have prevented if we had educated ourselves better. We can't keep dying as Black and brown people from diabetes. We can't keep dying like this.
Just in the last year, new tools have been approved by the FDA that can help avert amputation.
One of them is a stent that is degradable. It's a stent that kind of opens up the blood vessels and it can degrade on its own. And another is a removable stent that doctors can put in and pull out later because they don't like leaving stents in because they can sometimes fail.
Cynthia's family, though, encourages others to act the minute they see symptoms because those amputations are preventable. It's 2:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching. President Trump meeting with the head of NATO right now as the president threatens to leave the long-standing alliance. And a look at KSL traffic, Tito.
The quiet drive continues across the Wasatch Front, but the pace does look to be picking up a bit as we get closer to the 3 o'clock hour. Maria?
And Israel continues launching strikes on Lebanon. We'll bring you the very latest. It's 2:30.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. President Trump and Iran agreeing to a 2-week ceasefire and extension to the president's demand that Iran reopen the Strait of Hormuz or face strikes. ABC's Britt Clinton says Israel is still carrying out strikes in Lebanon and Iran is responding.
Iran has vowed now to deliver a regretful response if Israel doesn't halt Lebanon attacks. We know that Iran has condemned Israel's what it calls brutal massacre in Beirut. That's according to a statement shared by Tasnim news agency there. It went on to say if the aggressions against our beloved Lebanon are not stopped immediately, we will give a regretful response to the evil aggressors in the region.
The White House says Vice President J.D. Vance will lead the U.S. delegation for talks to end the war, set for Friday in Pakistan. It's prep day for the Artemis II crew as the Orion spacecraft travels back to Earth. Splashdown is Friday. And on Wall Street, stocks soared on word of the ceasefire. Crude prices sank below $100 a barrel. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. A Utah man accused of shooting at another car during a road rage incident while on parole was back in front of a judge today.
30-year-old Hamilton Tabanico is now facing several new charges, including aggravated assault after he was accused of pulling out a gun, running after a car, and shooting at it as it was trying to get away from him in Provo on New Year's Day. Today, prosecutor Jared Stensrud asked the judge for a protective order prohibiting Tabanico from having any contact with the victims.
These parties are scared and worried about any future interactions or contact with him at all.
The judge did sign off on that request. Tabanico was on parole at the time of the incident. He's been in and out of prison for the better part of a decade after he was previously convicted of robbery and aggravated assault. He's scheduled to be back in court 2 weeks from today. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Other local stories KSL is following. The number of calls to West Jordan Fire has been increasing every year for the last 15 years, and a majority of those calls aren't even fire-related.
A lot of that can be attributed to our prevention efforts and a lot of public education and outreach, as well as just new construction methods and fire codes, make buildings safer and prevent fires.
Fire Chief Derek Maxfield says a majority of the calls are for medical emergencies. He says the call increase is likely due to population growth. To help with the medical side, they have brought in several new cardiac monitors to provide better care and faster response times. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow up by more than 1,300 points at the closed end at 47,909. S&P up by 165. The NASDAQ up nearly 3%, up 617 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU. Love where you bank. Tito?
I-15, 215, and I-80 remain in great shape. However, we are seeing some slowdowns on Bangerter Highway going both directions as you approach the 21st South Freeway's interchange. We also have a new reported accident on 8th South and 9th West in Salt Lake. Spring has blossomed in Box Elder County. History, recreation, and wildlife. And excellent dining and shopping await you. Learn more at visitboxeldercounty.com. Produced in cooperation with the Utah Office of Tourism. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
Highs expected to stay in the 70s through Saturday, then dropping on Sunday by 10 degrees down to 61 for the high, and that's when a lot of showers are expected, 40% chance Sunday and Monday. 68 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Taxes was waiting on the refund you needed yesterday.
All right, your car repair is going to run about $3,000.
Ugh. Now Taxes is getting back on the road with TurboTax and Credit Karma, where you can get your refund up to 5 days faster and get personalized guidance to take every dollar further. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Deposit a federal refund into Credit Karma Money account and early submission of refund data by IRS required. Terms apply. Banking services provided by MVB Bank, Inc. Member FDIC. Credit Karma is not a bank.
Salt Lake City, this is your final boarding call, extended by popular demand. Titanic, the exhibition, is sailing away soon. Don't miss your last chance to experience the heartbreaking and heroic stories of her passengers and crew. See the incredible artifacts before the doors close forever on April 19th at the shops at Southtown and Sandy. Get your tickets before they're gone at thetitanicexhibition.com. That's thetitanicexhibition.com.
Bad driving habits are hard to break, but good driving habits are easy to form, especially when they can lead to a discount on your auto insurance. With Farm Bureau Financial Services, the safer you drive, the more you save. Drivers like you are saving an average of $321 per vehicle. So buckle up, learn more, and find an agent at fbfs.com/save. Individual savings results may vary. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte visiting the White House right now as President Trump threatens to leave the alliance. The visit coming amidst a shaky ceasefire that for now is holding. News Nation's Libby Dean reports.
Rutte has been dubbed the Trump whisperer, but I think what Trump has said leading into this is where you get that notion that it's not the warmest of relationships, given the president himself has said the U.S. withdrawing from NATO is going to come up during this meeting today. And Rutte has really this tall order of trying to convince Trump really out of it, despite Rutte being dubbed, as I mentioned, the Trump whisperer, because he really calmed that storm when President Trump wanted to acquire Greenland. You'll remember that was back in January with Davos. Despite that, this is the president's message ahead of that meeting in about 30 minutes.
I have a direct quote from the President of the United States on NATO, and I will share it with all of you. They were tested, and they failed. And I would add, it's quite sad that NATO turned their backs on the American people over the course of the last 6 weeks, when it's the American people who have been funding their defense.
The president's dissatisfaction with NATO has only grown in recent weeks when we saw some of our NATO allies, those countries, refuse to support U.S. military actions in Iran. So that's likely going to come up behind closed doors here.
Now, the president would require congressional approval to officially withdraw from the alliance.
War in Iran.
As the situation in the Middle East continues to develop, I wanted to get some expert analysis from Ryan Vogel. He's the founding director of the Center for National Security Studies at Utah Valley University, and I asked him if the ongoing back and forth between Israel and Lebanon could pose a risk to the shaky ceasefire agreement.
There are infractions on this really fragile agreement in place. You had Israel attacking Lebanon. Israel was part of that agreement. You had potentially intercepted missiles from Iran to neighboring countries in the Gulf region, and then at least a temporary close of the Strait of Hormuz, which was one of the central points for the U.S. in the ceasefire agreement. So some pretty fundamental breaks in the agreement in the first 12 hours that are cause for some alarm.
Explain for us why Israel continues to bomb Lebanon.
Yeah, it's they're going after Hezbollah. Usually, when they strike urban areas, or at least this has been part of their pattern, is they give some advance warning. They did not do that this time, and so there are pretty massive civilian casualties. And Lebanon was, at least for Iran's part of the agreement, since Hezbollah is an ally of Iran and the IRGC. So, Israel kind of taking the fight to Lebanon and expanding that, or continuing that part of the conflict, has been, seen as a real break in that early part of the agreement.
From what you've seen, is there any attempt by the U.S. to convince Israel to stop?
Yeah, this is what we've been asking for months now, is, whether it's in Gaza, whether it's with Iran, whether it's in Lebanon, whether the U.S. has the ability to really meaningfully restrain Israel. It does not appear so. I'm sure there are conversations happening. I'm sure there's been conversations happening over the past few months and even years. But Israel seems determined to use this opportunity to lastingly defeat its core enemies, which is Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran. And you see a very aggressive posture by them.
This has been such a difficult situation to report on because we are hearing such different points of view from both the president and the White House and from Iran. What are people here in the U.S., what are we expected to take from this?
It's really difficult. You're absolutely right that you're hearing just mixed messaging. Even within our administration, you hear different messages on this, and you have throughout the course of the Iran conflict. I think it's patience. I think people have to wait and not rush to judgment when they hear things, or not panic when they hear things, because there are so many different things happening at the same time, and so many different intermediaries that are putting forward that information, that I think for the average American that's just trying to watch and see what's happening here, patience and not rushing to prejudgment is probably going to be critical.
We heard a word yesterday, that bit of hope that there, was the ceasefire in effect. In your mind, is that still in effect?
I think so. I think there's been, some discussion among all parties that they're trying to get back to that place anyway. You haven't seen a complete return to hostilities. Of course, that could happen in the next few hours here, but you have not seen that yet. So I do think that all three parties, Israel, Iran, and the United States, have an interest in trying to make this work. And it appears, even with the talks that are happening tomorrow in Pakistan, that the parties intend to pursue this ceasefire as much as they can.
How does the talk in Congress about voting on a War Powers Act, how does that complicate this issue?
Yeah, it's a necessary part of this equation. Unfortunately, it should have probably happened, weeks ago. And so happening at this point is complicated. The issue here in the force function is that if a conflict goes beyond 60 days, it requires congressional authorization. The president has power under the War Powers Act and under Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution to defend the United States, to use force in the defense of the United States up until that point. But anything that goes beyond that 60-day mark is going to require congressional authorization. And so as we near that mark, we're going to have that. Of course, that does signal to outside parties that, there's internal division, internal deliberation, and that might affect how things play out here as well.
Ryan Vogel is the founding director of the Center for National Security Studies at Utah Valley University. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
It was opening night at Hale Center Theater for The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Victor Hugo's classic tale. I was with my son, Ian, and it was nothing short of spectacular. The staging, the costuming, the music, it's simply breathtaking. And, of course, the actors and the voices. You have to see The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's on the main stage right now at Hale Center Theater. So many of the scenes are never to be forgotten. For example, when Frollo is just struggling with his passion for Esmeralda and his soul, the flames and the tension on the stage is unbelievable. And to see the Hunchback up in the tower with the bells, don't miss Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's underway right now at Hale Center Theater. And continuing, Peter Pan Goes Wrong. That's on the Jewel Box stage and Hallmarked on the Beehive stage. Get your tickets now. hct.org. Don't miss the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
A new study shows we are losing ground in the progress made to ensure low-income moms deliver healthy babies. Using CDC data, researchers have found that in the past decade, more babies in lower-income families have been born at low birth weight. Co-author of the study from the Harvard School of Public Health, Dr. Emily Dorr, joins me to explain the gap that exists between the lower and higher-income families.
We looked at trends in birth outcomes by poverty status in the U.S. over time. And just more specifically, we looked at outcomes related to gestational age and birth weight between 2012 and 2022 by whether a person was under or over 200% of the federal poverty level. So for a single person, that's about $32,000 in an annual income. And what we found is that there are these persistent gaps in birth outcomes by poverty status. And so while, this gap in birth outcomes wasn't particularly surprising, since we expected people living in poverty to report worse outcomes based on other research that's looked at poverty and health. What this research really does is provide evidence of this assumption and quantifies the difference in these outcomes across time. And yeah, it really did show this persistent gap in outcomes. As an example, about 9% of people living in poverty in 2022 experienced a preterm birth or a birth that's before 37 weeks, whereas only about 7% of people above the poverty line experienced a preterm birth. So that's a 2 percentage point difference. So that's an example that outcome was really a persistent difference across time. But what was particularly surprising for us was that there was, for one outcome, for low birth weight, the difference in this outcome actually increased over time. And this widening of that gap in the prevalence of low birth weight was really due to low birth weight increasing more so for the group living in poverty compared to the group with the higher incomes. So this finding for us really stood out and seemed to me to be a cause for concern.
Right. So when we talk about low birth weight, are we talking about the fact that these children actually suffer from other health effects because we're talking extreme low birth weight, or what exactly are the effects of this?
Yeah, good question. So low birth weight, as is commonly defined and as we defined it in our study, is 2,500 grams or about 5.5 pounds. There's also very low birth weight, which we did look at but didn't end up including in the study. And I think that's closer to about 3 pounds. So yeah, often these babies do end up in the NICU and can have worse outcomes across the life course. So for both preterm birth and low birth weight, there's associations with negative health outcomes later in life.
What do policymakers need to be thinking about at this point in time that will improve the situation?
Yeah, so that was one of our conclusions for this paper this paper was really a descriptive paper of the trends in these birth outcomes. We as a team have conducted other research, and we know of other research that has shown that there are policies that target poverty that can positively impact health. So programs like the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families or the Earned Income Tax Credit, these are policies or programs that give resources like cash and tax credits to low-income families, and they've been shown to have positive effects on specifically perinatal health. However, the generosity and the access to these programs really vary across states. So one of the conclusions that we thought comes from this research is that these policies are really needed to decrease disparities, and especially for low birth weight, so we can really avoid that disparity increasing even more so over time. And that states should consider increasing access and generosity of these programs, especially the states who tend to have the less generous programs.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like these programs really focus on health, though. I mean, most of the time they're like food assistance or money assistance, but not necessarily helping a pregnant mom.
Yes, you're totally right. But because they provide resources, especially cash benefits, they're able to, decrease stress around finances, since poverty does increase around birth. So it is a particularly vulnerable time in that aspect. These policies can provide those resources to decrease stress around finances, and also provide resources that can be health promoting, provide money to buy healthier foods, or provide money so that maybe somebody doesn't have to work during that period so that they can stay home and take care of themselves.
And then anything that we need to add that's important about the study?
The data set that we used for this project is called the Pregnancy Risk Assessment Monitoring System, or PRAMS for short. And it's a national data set that captures information, of course, about pregnancy, birth, and the postpartum period. And while it's a survey collected by states, it's aggregated at the national level by the CDC. But the team at the CDC who has worked on PRAMS was actually laid off last year. So a lot of us are worried, a lot of us who do this research are worried that PRAMS is being paused and that we might lose access to this data set in the future. And so I think what this study does is shows how important the PRAMS data set is, and what we can lose if we do lose access to that data set moving forward.
Dr. Emily Dorr is a co-founder of the study that was published in the journal JAMA Pediatrics. Training teachers to better train students to pursue classes that match their talents and career interests. More on this new credentialing program coming up next. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU. Love where you bank. Tito?
Our major roadways are still moving along at great speeds. No issues to report along I-15, 215, or I-80. We are seeing spots of slowing due to construction on Bangerter Highway. This is going in both directions as you approach the 21st South Freeway. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
How was your break?
It was great until I stopped for gas. Prices have gone up almost $1 with no end in sight. I might have to start watching how much I drive.
That's exactly why I use Upside. I never pay full price for gas with the free Upside app.
Upside?
Yes, Upside. It's the free app that gives you cash back just for buying the gas you're already buying. So even with the rising gas prices, I'll never have to limit how much I drive.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Just last year, I made over $200 with the Upside app.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app right now.
Download the free Upside app to earn cash back on the gas you're already buying. Use promo code THRIVE25 for an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank account, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code THRIVE25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first fill-up. That's THRIVE25.
Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
So as you can see here, the standard deviation compared to the beta tells a whole different story, which of course makes your Sortino ratios off the charts. I mean, where else can you find that geometric adhesion? Naturally, if the ex-dividend date hadn't passed, we'd be even better off, but aligning that with the quantitative technicals, you can see that the risk premium is dictating the pricing models we're currently following, which is really messed up our alpha numbers, but the PE ratios suggest
Yeah, keep going. I'm with you. Sometimes you just need straight common sense talk about your retirement. The Tax-Free Retirement Show, Saturday afternoons at 5.
Does your home have peeling paint or faded colors? Don't procrastinate. You need to protect your home with quality paint and a worry-free process, so make an appointment with CertaPro Painters. You quickly get a free estimate that's detailed, easy to understand, and then their trusted local professionals will bring fresh color to your home with quality craftsmanship at the right price. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated, so schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro.com.
At KSL News Radio, we have a 30-year legacy of honoring Utah teachers.
but we can't do it without your help. Please tell us about an important teacher in your life on the KSL Teacher Tribute Wall, presented by Cypress Credit Union. Each month, one lucky teacher wins a $500 gift card from Cypress Credit Union, a $250 gift card to Harmon's, plus season tickets to Hale Center Theater. Say thanks to your teacher today at kslnewsradio.com/teacher from Cypress Credit Union and KSL News Radio.
Gold demand is skyrocketing to record highs. As more Americans rush to preserve their savings, will there be enough gold? I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I believe physical gold is the only way to truly protect your 401k or IRA savings. Gold offers tangible security that can't be tracked, stolen, or inflated. That's why I strongly advocate for gold IRAs. To learn more, text the word SECURE to 989898 now. Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust, and their thousands of great reviews prove I'm not alone. So don't wait another second. Protect your retirement savings today and see how easy it is to move your IRA or 401k into physical precious metals. Text SECURE to the number 989898 for your free gold IRA info kit. Again, SECURE to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply.
Are you looking to find more fairways, hit more greens, and lower your scores? Then it's time for a custom fitting from a Shields certified master fitter. Learning from the world's top fitters at Titleist Performance Institute, Callaway Performance Center, and the Ping Proving Grounds, we have the tools and expertise to match the right clubs to your swing for a more consistent game. Elevate your play today. Visit shields.com/expert fitting to schedule your session.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. An educational summit is underway today that will prep teachers and policymakers for Utah's new credential programs for students. The program guides high school students to the classes that match their talents and career interests. An organization called U-Science is leading the effort, and CEO Edson Barton says U-Science is unique.
Yeah, U-Science is a unique organization that brings together a very longitudinal platform for students and for the educators and parents, where we help a student find out what their true natural talents are. Those are called aptitudes. And we're the only organization in the United States that has aptitude assessments that are validated on a global scale that we can implement essentially over the internet. So based on that, we can help every single student understand scientifically what they're naturally talented in. And then what we can do from there is we align those to different careers in the marketplace. Based on that and based on your talents, we can help you pick a whole bunch of different types of careers that actually will fulfill you as an individual. We then guide that student towards the classes in the secondary setting that will be best suited to help explore their aptitudes and really bring those out. And then we actually have a series of over 220 different certifications. These are industry recognized certifications that industry partners and education partners have come together to design that help a student realize that I am learning real skills that have real value to employers. And on the other side of that, we have employers who are recognizing those certifications that then can issue or have additional benefits for those students as they're going through their education programs. Now, once a student has all of that information, we connect them directly with colleges and with employers in a very succinct way through what we call work-based learning activities. And those work-based learning activities help connect all of these pieces together so the educational experience for a student really starts to come alive. You know, one of the things that we all know is experiential learning is the best type of learning. And when we can do that with real outcomes, visible, tangible outcomes for a student, you just got to get out of the student's way because they'll walk through walls to accomplish their goals.
Barton tells KSL News Radio's McKenna Rodriguez that students can get certified in mechanical engineering, computer science, carpentry, and much more.
every single student has genius. We just got to find out where that genius is best suited. And once we find that for a student, that's when they start to come alive. And so that's what we're helping put them in. So once they're in these different, we call them pathway programs, then we can start to certify those students as they go along. One of the challenges with a degree program or a diploma program is that we don't recognize the achievements of an individual until the very end of the program, which is typically 4+ years. So one of the things that the certifications do, and this is one of the reasons employers like it so much, is it validates the skills of a student every step of the way. So you go into a class on small engine repairs, you learn how to do the basics there, you can fix little things about an engine. That's real world skills that are valuable to industry. So let's document those. And then once you go on to another course, then we document those. That's a valuable individual. And so by doing this type of program, we can offer value to everybody, and we can offer value to every single school, so that the schools really are offering that value to the students and their communities.
Barton says today's summit will show teachers how they can best teach students real-world verified skills. Thank you for joining me today for Midday. Jeff Kaplan is here with Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News. What's coming up on your show today, Jeff?
Well, we're going to be extensively covering this shaky and tenuous ceasefire that nobody really understands what the provisions of the ceasefire are. We'll get into all that.
All right. Thank you for joining me today. Have a great afternoon.
KSL FM